Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'm your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, panelists Michael Damiani.
Yo.
Michael Huber.
Hello.
My note-taking co-moderator, Daniel Bloodworth.
Hello.
And making it all happen by starting the Zoom call in Slack, Ian Hank.
Hello.
Are you at the appropriate distance, Huber?
Yes.
Little last-minute shuffle. Are you cozy?
Sorry. I'm cozy. I'm very cozy.
Good to hear. Distinguished guests, we are here to discuss the biggest headlines in the world of video games. But before we do that, we must atone for all of the mistakes we made last week. Ian, begin corrections music, please.
Boop.
A fantastic run of corrections. There's just a couple. 2 are clarifications, and 1 is totally my fault, and not even about video games. Die Another Day is the Bond film I was trying to reference. Huber knew what I was talking about, but it was Die Another Day, not Tomorrow Never Dies with the minefield. The obelisk, clarification, the obelisk from Flight Sim was caused by a data entry error in Bing Maps. Someone made an edit to OpenStreetMap indicating a building had 212 floors instead of 2. According to PC Gamer, another obelisk has been found in the Italian countryside. So hopefully we find more of those as the game goes on.
So wait, can we go in and make obelisks? Is that what they're saying?
I think maybe they're policing that stuff now. I think they might be keeping an eye on it, but
I think that data was pulled some
That
time
might
ago.
have been.
So I don't think they are updating everything in real time. Now, whether people are flying into the hurricane and stuff,
Oh, you jumped right ahead to the end of the podcast. We'll get to that again later. This is
sounds
corrections,
terrifying.
Bloodworth. This is corrections. And clarification, Takeshi and Hiroshi is apparently not a sad game. A lot of people reached out to us and said,
Several people tweeted me that, yeah.
give it a shot. And
Cool.
corrections music, please.
Boop.
Before we get into the big headlines that happened this week, I would like to talk about the silver lining of this industry this past week. You know, there's a lot of stressful things to worry about in the world right now. There's a lot of reasons to be upset about stuff. We will certainly cover a lot of that this week in the podcast, but there are still good people, good things, good news to report. So I've asked our $5 patrons at patreon.com/easyallies to let me know what is a silver lining in the world of video games. We got a good one from Mr. Robert Cassidy. Despite being forced online by COVID, Summer Games Done Quick still managed to raise $2.3 million for Doctors Without Borders this past week. I did not check any of this out. Did any of us watch Games Done Quick this last week?
I've watched lots of it, not live. I always watch the YouTube uploads later. But I've watched maybe 10 of them.
I
watched some Streets of Rage 4. It's awesome.
Nice. I saw somebody did Half-Life Alyx, and
cool.
which they were masked the whole time, so they're scrambling on the floor and running into stuff. A very interesting game to speedrun, but definitely an entertaining stream to check out, no matter what game you focus on. But wonderful that they were able to raise that much money for Doctors Without Borders. Let's get into the actual headlines. We just had Gamescom opening night live, super fresh. Ian, Damiani, Bloodworth, and myself were on our live reactions, and Huber has caught up with most of it. Just starting off, we didn't necessarily grade it. Were we generally positive on the Gamescom opening night live? I feel good about reacting to it.
I was the only one who graded it, I think.
Yeah. Generally positive, but there's a lot of filler. There's a lot of stuff in there that doesn't need to be there. And I think some of it is just because of Gamescom going to be Gamescom and Jeff can't even do anything about it. Like the awards, which I just find inherently silly, the way that they do the awards, because even on a not virtual year, right, giving out the awards in the opening ceremony it seems bizarre. Nobody has gone in to play these games yet.
When you're actually at E3, they got the placards, IGN and GameSpot and everybody, and they always run over first thing, or even because there are a lot of them are exhibitors, they get a chance even before the doors open to just go over and yoink, put an award in there.
So I do wonder what that process is like, whether there is a Gamescom equivalent of the Judges Week that E3 has, but there's so much stuff, even with E3 where Judges Week doesn't cover the big boys.
Best action game was Star Wars Squadrons, and I think
what?
I saw members of the Squadron staff being like, "What? What's happening?"
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know what this is, but yay!
We did it.
It's very strange. They should have just done most anticipated and had people vote that way. Like, that's a normal award.
It's also unclear to me, at least, who determines these
No
awards.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, it was also the funny thing is
If
the
it's
way they were
IGN or
presented. I mean, IGN did present them, but these are the Gamescom awards. But I think a lot of people probably weren't even clear that what this was an award for. You know,
Yeah.
like even as we were reacting, but Brandon was like, "This game's not out." He's like, "Yeah, because it's the games that are at the show, even though the show isn't at anywhere."
Yeah, the pretend Gamescom. Yeah.
Well, usually if we were going to give out E3 awards, you would say the best action game of E3. You would kind of indicate like that's what the
Best
circumstances
carpet.
behind this. But
Love best
E3.
carpet.
People, the last one we
I
gave out,
love
they
it.
were like actually really thrilled about it.
Yeah,
people
It
like
felt
awards.
good.
If you give people any award, you know, at these people work long days at these conventions, and I'm sure there's a lot of people working at Gamescom. But Gamescom as a actual live event or as a physical event is not happening. Crash Bandicoot proved as much by running
That was
around the
amazing.
convention hall.
Yeah.
One of the best
That
parts
was
of it.
so
Good.
funny. Yeah.
Who was the robot guy he fist bumped?
it's
That
like a
was
like a
Gamescom
Gamescom
mascot.
bot.
Yeah.
The Gamescom robot. Yeah.
Got it. Good. It's good to know there's a reason to break that sucker out of storage. You know, when they got the call from Crash Bandicoot, they were like,
Crash's
"Oh, we
mask. His mask is the best. Just this big old
Giant black.
mask. I love it.
So this was, of course, produced by Jeff Keighley. This is opening night live. This is just kicking off the events of Gamescom this week. So, we will have more looks at gameplay, more news, that will be coming out throughout the week. So this was just the beginning of Gamescom. Jeff Keighley seemed super excited about it, and he was very, very excited that it was live. Did it need to be? Was there anything we kind of salvaged? I did see some people talking about like this kind of felt like what things used to be like. Like he at the very end he teased, join me at the Game Awards, and I wonder if we're gonna get the same kind of like box animation, and I potentially the same kind of crew. I don't know how many live people are showing up, how they're gonna handle handing out awards and stuff, but I could see trying to recreate, this vibe of being live, but I don't know if it necessarily made the show better.
I found it more enjoyable, honestly, because the stuff earlier this summer was just, it was all Zoom calls, dressed up Zoom calls or whatever they were using. And it was nice to have something that had some resemblance to what we used to have. That this was something you would expect to actually see when Gamescom was actually going on proper. And I feel like that did pay off. I don't know if it necessarily did anything in terms of getting me more excited about stuff, but it came off as a better show, I think, having those expectations. And so many of the companies have diverged from what they've traditionally done these past few months. Any kind of return to normalcy was nice.
As a film and video nerd, I loved the production aspects of it too, like the LED walls and LED floor and the AR stuff and the video calls in the wall that actually worked this time. Like they tried to do that at the, I always forget what it was. The thing that was after the thing that Greg did that was still part of the thing that Greg hosted, but it was
Gorilla Collective?
The Paradox.
Yeah, it was Paradox, yeah. But it like the timing of it was mostly better. There was a little bit of delay on that first guy, but yeah, it went off. It seemingly went off without a hitch. So I liked all of that aspect, of it. And they had a lot of like what they used to call magazines. They had a lot of like pre-edited stuff to roll in, to all the trailers and all the segments.
Ian, I'm flummoxed. You're like the king of the direct, man. You always say that like every company needs to just pre-record it and stop it with the live nonsense.
Well, all of that said, there would have been very little difference. In fact, it would have been slightly better and a minute shorter if it was pre-taped and they just cut out the dead air waiting for delay, Like, there would have been literally no difference. There was no aspect of this that needed to be live because, like, at least unless I'm forgetting something, like, it wasn't reacting to anything in real time. It wasn't... If anything, the only thing it being live did was just, like, make Keeley's blood pump faster because, like, things could go wrong.
Which we want.
Yeah. And it was maybe cheaper? No, I don't know.
I always
Because
appreciate
you
when
only need the
Keeley.
space for a day, but I don't know.
I always appreciate when Keely interviews people live. The Ratchet and Clank interview live, I thought, because that was live, it just
Dude,
had a cooler
yeah.
vibe to it. It was so
He
much
can get 'em.
nicer.
Yeah,
he could
yeah.
get them, you know, he could ask them
get
about
'em.
things, he can rib with them. Like,
Yeah, him cutting
like
that.
himself
That's a good
off at the end was really good. He was like, "Oh, never
Launch
mind, never
window?
mind."
Yeah.
He's like, "Never mind, never mind."
Yeah. How big is that window?
But it gave it a little bit of like a human touch because Keely would have like ums or pauses, and he's really talented, really good. But it's just nice to see that again, because everything has been so like packaged and produced, and or a Zoom call where it's just like so low quality, it's just like you just pass off whatever happens is okay. It was nice.
And all that said, like, usually for me, the inclusion of like Twitter reactions to the show as it's happening, you know, isn't often adding much, in my opinion. So it's like, yeah, it didn't hurt it being live.
The more I think about it, of course, Game Awards, would benefit from being live because people don't know they're getting awards yet. Hopefully.
Oh,
Good
Right.
point.
And so, you obviously want that stuff to be live and happen in the moment. Not let some editor out there spoil it because they put all that stuff together. Although
Did you
Keely
catch what he
does
said?
edit a lot of his own stuff. What, Damiani?
Really?
He got his tease at the end. The Game Awards will be live, he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Keely does the hype montage, Ian.
Yeah.
His own the hype one.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
He always tweets out when he's finished with it. He's like, the rush, the adrenaline. You smell that? It's hype.
Love it.
Hubert, Insomniac is out of control right now.
Out of control, baby.
So Insomniac is in a position right now to basically show us the longest look, with the exception, obviously, if you add up all the 10-second glimpses we've had of Godfall, but just in one go, the longest continuous gameplay demonstration we've had of the PlayStation 5. And they're also working on Miles Morales, which we haven't seen yet. How are they doing that?
Well, Miles Morales it's got to help that it's New York again, right? So like they have the blueprint for that. It's more than an expansion, but not a full-fledged sequel. And then Ratchet and Clank games are big as well, so it feels like two medium to large games rather than one supersized game. So I think that's how they get away with that. I'm just stoked. Yeah, I know that they dropped the news that it's after Into the Nexus, because remember they had the movie-based game, which was like its own weird timeline thing. So now we have confirmation we're continuing the story. It's been so long. So that was just an incredible gameplay demo. It's awesome.
I thought that looked pretty great. That was a very colorful
Yeah.
game. I mean, it seems strange because maybe I'm just used to very serious games selling new gen consoles. You have to have some dramatic action game where it's just kind of fun to have big, colorful, crazy vibes.
But it was nice to see, like at the time I was kind of like, this is 60% the same thing we've already seen from this game. But in hindsight, thinking about it now, it's sort of nice because we can have a direct comparison to like how the optimization is going for the hardware. Because like the last time we saw it, there was some pretty bad pop in and there was some like hitching here and there. And I noticed less of that. I haven't gone back and rewatched it, so maybe it is still there, but I noticed less of that in real time watching it this time. So that's good news.
Yeah.
Like it looks real.
One of my big takeaways were all the NPCs everywhere. Like that's
Yeah, we were talking about that, yeah.
huge for Ratchet and Clank
Is
to make
that
all
Ratchet
these
and Clank?
planets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're saying they're
That
like
stuff
heroes
is-
to them. I love it.
Oh, it's so good because usually like an NPC will be just at a spot on the map. So just to have all these citizens like running around, freaking out.
Yeah,
Such
like
a game changer.
even when you jump through the portals, they kept their position. Like when they were like running, they had like one running past you, and it was really cool to see that. The only thing, I mean, it looked really good to me too. I lament the no hands-on thing. The not because they in the interview they were touting the DualSense, how it wasn't just
Yeah.
the SSD, that the DualSense is making a difference with this game, and that's something you're only gonna understand once you get your hands on it, and that's why I was championing. They said it's a launch window game, so if it's not going to be ready at launch, put what we saw, that demo, make that available day one on PlayStation 5. Just let people
Yeah,
play
put it
with
in there
that.
with Astrobot.
Yeah, that with Astrobot would be a great 1-2 combo
Dude.
for DualSense potentially.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
The cynic in me, because everyone's saying like no more load times, and like with this demo, I'm like, well, kinda that the rifts. I mean,
The
they're
Rift
fast.
is a load
but
time,
the
yeah,
rift
but-
is hiding a load. Like that's what that is. Like it's you're going through into that little blue space, and then you load in the new area. And like I'm wondering if later in the game, if you're going from one big area to another, you're in that rift for a little while. You know, I wonder.
Like
I mean,
it's
'cause that's what it
floating
is.
slowly.
Yeah,
What they
you're just like,
specifically, what they specifically said was no loading screens,
Right.
and so that basically.
And I mean,
means-
obviously, it's a little tongue-in-cheek, my
Yeah.
complaint. Like, it's very fast, and it looks cool anyway, so...
yeah, you don't get that, cutaway to a still image with a progress bar and a
Right.
tooltip and all
Or
that
it
stuff.
tells you about blood vials.
Damiani, how long can you go on a calendar before you're not considered in a launch window? What are we talking here? 2 months?
I mean,
2 months?
didn't this already happen before? The launch window for some stuff was considered like months, like I thought 3 to 4 months at one point
Yeah,
for
I feel
one of
like
the consoles.
March is in the window,
Was
right?
it like PlayStation 4 where they said like launch window, or Wii U? One of them they said launch window games. They kept talking about it ahead of their console release, and it was games that's coming out all over the place over a course of like 3 to 4 months. So I remember some of you were saying you expected it maybe by end of the year. I think it could come out any time between whenever Disposed launches this year till probably the end of Q1 next year, and then you consider that launch window probably.
Yeah,
I hope,
I think
hope
February,
it's this year,
March.
because I tried to add it to my fantasy league.
right.
Nice, smart.
I just feel like, for me, if you're launching before Christmas, then your launch window is before Christmas. Like it's just one of those things, because there's always that dead zone. There's always that space from the middle of December until January where just nothing is coming out. And so it's hard for me to justify calling that, oh, we're in the launch window in mid-January. And it's like, no, it's done. It's passed. Whereas with the GameCube, like I consider Smash Brothers Melee in the launch window because that was like a week or two later, and that was, the GameCube came out in like November, and then Smash Brothers was out like first week or two in December. And so, you were basically like the money you were going to spend on the GameCube, like you needed to include Smash Brothers. Like it's going to come out quick enough to where it might as well, be right there on day one. So if you're going to stretch it, maybe 3 months, you get to 4. I'm like, no.
Well,
no,
here's
no.
the thing. We might get into some kind of crazy malarkey with like what counts as a launch, because like Sony with their little window of like, hey, you can get a chance to be in the lottery to pre-order this console, like really makes me think the first run's going to be real
I
tough to
think
get.
they said it's not a
yeah.
lottery. Actually, it's going to be first.
Well,
come,
whatever
first
it
serve.
is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
what
still,
that
it's
thing
just
is,
like
is a bizarre thing that Sony's never really done anyway.
Right.
Is they're selling direct to consumer.
right, which is kind of weird. I worry about how quickly the console would get to a person if you bought it through them,
Yeah.
because they don't have that infrastructure necessarily.
Oh, that's a valid concern. Yeah.
Because like I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna rush and buy it straight from
Yeah.
Sony,
Yeah.
and then
Whoops.
it's gonna take 4 weeks to come get to me,
Right.
like come on.
Historically,
But I mean, like, yeah, who knows?
just because like I always see games coming out, like March is always such a huge month. Like I always think God of War, March. So to me, the launch window
Souls.
ends after March. Like I'll give them
April,
that
March.
first big chunk
Yeah.
of time. Like March is the big heavy hitters. Like that to me is the launch window. If you get those big March PS5 games, like that counts. Counts for me.
Back with the PS4, I looked it up. Sony was saying some launch window games, and they were labeling Wolfenstein: The New Order and Infamous Second Son as launch window games. So console came out in November 2013. Infamous Second Son came out in March 2014, and Wolfenstein came out in May of 2014. Those were considered launch window games. For PS4.
May is
I feel
pretty
like those
presumptuous.
maybe hit some delays.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
like Drive
I-
Club was
yeah.
also supposed to be a launch game, and that didn't happen until like another year.
That's right.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if these psychos are just like fiscal year is the launch window, like same fiscal year, which would end in like what, May or something? I don't know when the
No, that
fiscal
would be
year
the end
ends.
of March. That's
Yeah,
what,
March 31st.
March. Yeah.
That's
So,
why
yeah.
March is big.
Yeah.
But
I
also
wonder
to your
if
big boy
I wonder if
March.
any of us will get a PS5.
I'm probably not gonna.
Eventually,
I'm not gonna try
we'll
for
all
one at
have one.
launch. Yeah.
It's gonna be hard to get that
not
thing
right now.
absolutely
not gonna
getting
try
it
for one?
as fast as possible.
I'm gonna try to get
I want
it right
controllers. I want controllers. That's all I care
I mean,
about right
everyone's
now.
going to try. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't think
I'm
they
gonna
just sell
try.
controllers separately. But with all this, how they're handling this, it seems like it's going to be whether or not they might have a worldwide release date for this. But I still feel like people are going to get it, as you were pointing out, it's going to be staggered. People are probably not going to be getting them all at the same time. So I feel like more so than ever, launch window is going to be expanded for PS5 at the very least.
I wonder if I can cancel my bid on Ratchet and Clank for
Oh.
my fantasy team.
No, you're saying cancel your bid for
You guys have got
PS5.
me
Pre-order.
not believing. You guys have got me not believing.
Got to have like 10 computers up at once. Just like, all right.
Oh yeah, dude. It's gonna be like trying to get concert tickets.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Stress.
I'm stressed.
Yeah.
Are they saying launch window maybe because they don't have a release date yet, or even like an idea of when? Are they waiting on Sony potentially? Do you think there's any push from
Maybe.
Sony to be like, just don't even talk about, if you're not at launch, if you're not right there?
Well, even at launch, like, what was it? I want to say it was Yakuza Like a Dragon, where they were saying like launch day for Xbox Series X, but then PlayStation 4, there was like TBD, and like it's coming on launch day if they're going to hit everything else. But they
For
just
PS5.
they can't even they can't even confirm that until Sony wants to say this is our lineup.
That again, we talked about this at the end of our reactions to the ONL, but like, it's so weird that we don't know more about these damn consoles. Like,
Is it just
potentially
'cause-
coming out in a month and a half?
Is it because they're
months.
it's just a game of chicken? Like, are they waiting for the other one to do a price, and then the other one is going to be like, all right, we're cheaper? Like, is it really
It feels
that?
like it.
Maybe
I don't
there's
know.
got to be something,
Well,
right?
why
Like,
wouldn't
do
that
they
have been
have-
the case in every console launch ever? Why is this one just dragged
Maybe
out
there's so much to
so
risk.
much more?
We maybe don't know. I don't know. We'll have to wait. It will be really telling when we can get some financial reports for.
I think they don't have to.
Oh, they might not give. Maybe, but traditionally they do put out the reports. All three of the big three do. So it'll be interesting to see the end of the fiscal year covering COVID, what was really going on. So we might not know that. We might not get some insights until then. I don't think it's as simple as just playing chicken. Honestly, I think there's some other things going on. And it seems like short lead time for everything right now is the safest strategy. And I think people are just not used to it with a console. But it is honestly a little unfair and a little it's not the smartest play in my opinion. The closer you get, the worse it's going to be for consumers because they need to save up for these, however much they're going to cost. It's not going to be cheap. Yeah. They're not doing themselves any favors by doing this. But I honestly expect September. I think we're going to get a deluge of stuff. I think we're getting Sony and Microsoft stuff in the first half of September, and let's, hope Nintendo, the every week's rumored Nintendo Direct finally happens. Maybe that'll happen in September, and we'll just get like a week. That will be the new E3 week. Will be a week in September, and we get everything.
That would be big. I mean, that would definitely be competitive to the events we had this summer.
I definitely think the console, like what we're seeing is a confluence of events here with COVID, where the consoles were ready enough that they were going into production, pre-production, whatever, earlier in the year, and like factories shutting down delayed them slightly, but not enough to stop them. Whereas like software development companies have been slowed down a lot. So I think what's happening really is probably the consoles are still on target, or they pushed it back without us knowing by a month or two. But software is lagging way behind, and that's why we're not hearing about launch titles and stuff, because there aren't any, because like they all got slowed down by COVID too much.
Right. But yeah, what I mean by they don't have to do it yet is I think there is a lot more impetus for them to have all that information and having all the pre-orders ready and stuff when they do those kind of in-person kiosks and things that they would have had by now. So it's like, oh, you're at Best Buy, you get to play the PlayStation 5. Okay, put your pre-order down. And since a lot of that's not happening, then okay, well, let's step back on this stuff, and even when they were talking about marketing the DualSense, and like they had to create this weird TV spot where everybody was on a green screen and stuff. And they're just entirely rethinking their marketing. So I think that's a bigger part of it too. Is just like, what is the marketing strategy? Is one of the dilemmas, one of the puzzles they're trying to put together.
Yeah.
Another company I thought I did pretty well today in Gamescom, dare I say, Electronic Arts.
Oh.
4 games featured in the showcase. Dragon Age 4, Star Wars Squadrons, Sims 4 is going to Batu, it's going to Galaxy's Edge. And I was actually very impressed. I think my favorite trailer was for Medal of Honor Above and Beyond. Going back and watching that a couple times, there's a lot of really fun edits in there. Admittedly, Dragon Age 4 dropped my absolute least favorite genre of trailer. And as you stressed, Ian, and as I've seen people express online, people would like Sims to do other things than add lightsabers and help us visit theme parks that are currently closed in California. But this is a lot from that company. And even though I despise that format of the Dragon Age 4 trailer, boy, are Dragon Age fans flipping out from what I can tell in comments and on social. Yeah. I mean, just, I imagine it's just kind of like the mirage in the desert. They're just really happy to get anything at this point. If we got like a bad Elden Ring trailer today, at least it would be something to talk about. But that was kind of a surprise to me. I saw some people commenting on that, and then I, did the math. Like, yeah, that was. Is there? Do we give EA credit today for their performance at Gamescom opening night live?
I think because it was substantial gameplay from 3 games, and the one that is far off, they at least showed some work in progress gameplay. We saw the guy with the shield doing some shield bash, so it was like, okay, at least it's like you get a little hazy concept of this mythical Dragon Age that's many years away. But yeah, the deep dive into Medal of Honor and Squadrons I thought was pretty neat. Like, Medal of Honor looks sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one where it was like giving me flashbacks, because there's like just parts of previous Medal of Honor games that were clearly referenced, like this exact texture is being used here.
Yeah, they kept saying Allied Assault. That's like one of my favorite games growing up.
And bringing back one of the pioneers of the franchise, to work on this.
Yeah.
And a lot of VR is one of the main reasons I'm excited about Star Wars Squadrons, and so it was neat to have stuff in VR that was focused on, but was just surprised.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's 2 VR games, which I don't really have. So it's like, well, shit, that Medal of Honor game looks sick, but I don't have Oculus. Like, I could borrow one day, but it's like a little harder to get fully excited.
Squadrons is
for VR.
VR.
Squadrons is
Right.
either or. Creator's intent, though, Ian.
Is it? You don't know.
I don't know. I just said that for you.
I think it's a VR game that they're like, we gotta make this pay off, make it not VR compatible.
The creator's intent is to sell as many copies as possible. I was just thinking about that, because the only thing we'd seen of Dragon Age, unless there's something I'm forgetting, was the weird title screen, like dragon floating around, like stone whatever, from a couple of years ago. And I wondered if this exact dev diary had been the announcement, if it would have been hype, or if it would have felt lackluster still as a dev log, as the announcement.
Because I did hear that the Dragon Age 4 was like a surprise to even some of the devs. They were like, I didn't know we were making a trailer. What is this? Because it
right.
resonated with fans, but it didn't really tell a lot.
Because this devlog now, having known that this game was theoretically in the works a couple of years ago, made me think, like, what have you been doing for 2 years? Like, if you're showing us concept art, but then you said they're recording VO, so it's like, you're giving me conflicting messages here. Are you at the 80% line or the 10% line? Like, what's going on with this game? So yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Damiani. What were you gonna say?
Yeah. I the perspective of like Jones, you saying that there are fans who are pretty excited about it. To be fair, not to be too harsh on EA. Obviously, they are deserving of some of the stuff they get thrown at them. And maybe the dev diary, this wasn't the best place for it. Maybe doing it on their own, just releasing it standalone. But I can actually see how people can get excited. For me, like, I just can imagine if that was like a Metroid Prime 4, how they showed off Metroid Prime 4 for the first time. It's not ready to show off, and they showed that instead. They showed like some behind the scenes like tester footage and stuff like that, and some concept art. like Nintendo
Yeah,
fans be analyzing
I'd
that. There'd be a
freaking
million
out.
videos up, or they'd be talking about it like for a week nonstop, and they'd be excited. Whereas this, but you made a good point, Ian, during the reactions that I think this is what the issue is. The whole time they were kind of touting themselves as like, we're still a big deal, we're still in your good graces,
Right.
whereas they've had two missteps and they need to kind of earn back that trust. So I think that's where expectations need to be tempered a bit, and where this type of presentation for this type of game falls flat.
Well, yeah, I'm excited for this game. Like, I think the character designs they showed looked really cool, and the concept seems really cool, as far as I can tell. But, like, yeah, the fact that it's EA doing another dev diary and it's BioWare doing another dev diary, you know, it's like, instantly I'm just like, didn't you learn your lesson? Like, years ago,
I
that you
recall
should stop doing these?
The first glimpse we really got of Mass Effect Andromeda was very similar to this type of
Almost
video.
identical to this.
Yeah.
And then remember we got another one like the year after that. Like we saw like 2 or 3 different years of dev diaries of Andromeda. And we were just like, why are you still doing this? Like, show us the game or don't talk about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think I'm very much on the like don't talk about it until you've got something that's ready to show, because yeah, this is something that it could be interesting to look at after the fact, but you generally want to see behind the scenes stuff like after you've seen the thing.
Right.
You know, you don't like having a polygon mesh of like what some spell, you know, chain is going to look like doesn't really help anybody.
I think
in the spell.
I think it would be on brand to bring up Elden Ring in this instance, because I feel like you can't win if you show your game and if you don't show your game, because it's like Elden Ring could be in the exact same boat as Dragon Age. It could be so far off, like they might not have a lot, and it's like they're not showing it, and now people are just going crazy like, show me this game, show me this game, show me this game. And then on the other side, it's like, all right, here's the dev diary. Like, we're working on it. And people are like, you know, Suicide Squad only had the cinematic trailer. And it's like, where's the gameplay? So it's like, I can't imagine being in charge of these decisions and, like, knowing, all right, now we're going to show it, or when do we show it? So I don't know.
I
need you to imagine, Huber. I'm paying you to imagine. What are you saying?
Yeah. Well, I want to talk to whoever the people who continually make these decisions to announce years in advance are. Like, I imagine it's often not the game's director or whatever. It's a studio head or it's a marketing head or someone who's like, what do you got? We got to show something. And it's like, I want to know
What
why.
do you got?
I want to know what the reason is, and like how does it translate to dollars for your company?
Well,
like,
makes
how does
investors
showing
happy, you know.
well,
People,
I
people on the
think
board
that's
are going
it.
to be
It
like,
makes-
nice. We got this
I think that's
cool
what it is. It makes
Rock Dragon logo
shareholders-
coming sometime soon.
Right. It makes shareholders excited about EA's stock, and it goes up. And it's like, that's when it becomes a weird thing where you realize, like, the enthusiasts, are we just like pawns to EA's stock market game? Like,
Yes.
they're toying
Sure.
with our feelings, you know, when they shouldn't be in that way. Where, like, as far as like, just, you shouldn't show a thing if it's 7 years away, because then you get into like Last Guardian situations. It's like, you know, or it's just like ludicrous. Yeah. So it's a weird thing. We're all just like pawns in somebody else's game, you know?
They look like ants from up here. They are ants. Notable reveals from Gamescom opening night live: Unknown 9 Awakening. One of those games that just can't be called Unknown 9. They just can't.
The subtitle is way bigger than the actual title.
Yep.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
They got
I feel like
I felt like they have a franchise already laid out.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing.
That's the one they
another
said,
thing.
right? That they had the cross media thing.
Yeah.
It's
Is that
cross
the-
Oh,
media.
there
yeah.
it is.
That's the other that did bother me at the time, but I didn't talk about it. But it's like a dev diary too, where it's like, don't announce your franchise before you know the game is gonna hit. You know,
Right.
like, have a success and then say, oh, hey, guess what? We planned this from the start.
New IP, though, I think this is kind of... If it's a new IP, I think the rules are different in terms of letting the cat out of the bag, because we just plain forget stuff, you know?
Yeah,
And so then if
so-
you go under the radar and then take the time that you need, and then you come back in a big way when you have gameplay, we're like, oh,
But
right,
then, Jones,
you know?
if it's a failure, then you know how much more of a failure it is, because you thought that they were they wanted to Anthem. They wanted to make it like a 7-year plan.
Right.
And it's like
So-
it didn't last 7 days.
I've got 4 or 5 things here for the Unknown 9 universe.
Oh my.
So there is
The
a
U9U.
mystery. There's a mystery thriller novel by Leighton Green
Cool.
entitled
Sick.
Unknown 9 Genesis.
There it is.
An original podcast called Unknown 9 Out of Sight.
Oh, like a narrative podcast. Okay. Maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a fictional podcast. That's what someone in chat.
There's a
said.
Last of Us podcast that just talks about Last of Us.
There's a comic book called Unknown 9 Torment.
Hmm.
And then you can delve into the Unknown 9 story world by visiting unknown9.com.
Number 9 or spelled out? It's always the
number
number,
9.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unknown 9.
I mean, if the
also
game is
tricky to say.
sick, I'll partake, but this seems a
I mean,
little preemptive.
That opening cinematic looked very good. Like the
Yeah.
graphics looked very good, but it's
Looks
a CG,
cool.
so like whatever.
Yeah.
Spend a couple $1,000,000 on Blur, anybody can do that.
I thought resonated a little bit more than Bridge Constructor The Walking Dead. Just like had to have a live
The
action.
crossover you didn't see coming.
Yeah. But it was a pretty goofy trailer too, so at least the game kind of knew like, nah, we know this
Yeah.
doesn't. And you were
Well,
saying
and Bridge Constructor Portal is very tongue-in-cheek. I mean, it's a funny game.
Yeah. It's funny to me for like a franchise like that to latch on to figure out like, okay, we only have a niche audience. How do we get more people in? Like Walking Dead, bring it in, come on, do it. You know, it's
That
like we're gonna
dying
get
franchise.
yeah, are we gonna get Cooking Simulator, the Walking Dead? You know, are we gonna get Mechanic Simulator, The Walking Dead? You know, it's just like,
Oh my God,
fix your
Hubert.
car before the zombies come.
Hubert,
Vacation
that just made me
Simulator
think
Walking Dead.
there should be a comes out on Halloween. There's a cooking game, but it's Hannibal.
Stop it.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
So messed up.
That is messed up, but so good.
The other VR Huber was Sam and Max, which looks fun. And you said there was more to see after the fact, that there was more gameplay.
Yeah,
floating out there
during
now.
the Gamescom stream, that it seems like IGN is just heading up the whole Gamescom channel for this whole 3 days or 4 days, however long it lasts.
Lemnis Gate debuted, and you checked that out, Ian.
I saw it. I mean, I saw basically that same trailer, and then I could ask the devs questions at the Frontier Showcase, whenever that was, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago. And yeah, they were being a little cagey, but yeah, it seems kind of cool. It's one of those games, much like a lot of these, where it's like you really just need to see how it feels and how it plays to really know. But the general idea is different characters with skills and abilities, 5 rounds that are 25 seconds each. And time rewinds, so you like strategize each 25-second round, and then you do the next one to try to like capitalize on the things you learned in the first one, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Seems cool.
It lost me by the end of the trailer. I was like, I don't
Same.
know how they're strategizing.
Everyone
for what
in
they're
the-
doing,
Same.
but-
Yeah, everyone in the
Yeah.
Frontier Showcase, like all of the press people, were pretty confused. They had to like explain it a couple of times.
That's cool though. Like that seems like such a cool,
Yeah.
unique type of game. I'm always down for that.
It'd be great if it was an esport and the commentators were like, what the hell's going on? They just like, "It's lost
hell?
it." 6 minutes in every
Time
match.
for
They're like,
the match.
and now I'm out. I'm done. You know, who knows?
Well, and what's funny is there's another game that was announced recently that may or may not be early access called Quantum League that is a similar idea of you play one version of time and then you rewind and do another version, and the previous you is still there shooting where you told it to shoot.
Whoa.
So I don't know how similar or different they will be, but yeah. It's a thing right now. People are messing with time, I guess, in games.
Thanks, Nolan.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it all because of the Tenet trailer? Is it?
And we got some World of Warcraft announcements, but thankfully, finally, Warhammer is getting some video game treatment with Age of Sigmar Stormground. Which do we know? We got some emails for that, Blood. What? I mean,
I got MOBA vibes.
They pitched these
it looked
3
isometric.
factions, which were like, sure.
Well, that was the other one.
Wasn't that
That was the like
That was a different one.
team-based
Yeah, I've got
combat
something
one.
here. Let's see.
Necromunda
don't
Underhive
forget.
Wars?
Necromunda Underhive.
Say it again.
It's a turn-based strategy
Necromunda.
game.
Underhive War.
There you go.
Yeah, and so this is the funny part. This is why Jeff's introduction made it sound weird. It's like it's the first strategy adaptation of Game Workshop's extraordinary dark fantasy Age of Sigmar IP. So even though it's Warhammer, Age of Sigmar is considered something separate in
Got
the
it.
minds of Games Workshop.
From what I gather from playing Vermintide 2 a whole bunch, Sigmar is like God or something. Like a couple of the characters say like by Sigmar or whatever all the time.
Yeah, it
Yes.
says immortal knights ride heavenly star drakes to eradicate hellish legions across the realms.
As you do, yeah.
This normal day. Normal
But
day
those
at
were all
the
games
office.
we didn't know
You
about
don't do
before opening night live started. Highlights from stuff that we did know about: Doom Eternal: The Ancient Gods, which I don't
Hell
think
yeah.
could do any wrong.
Part 1.
Yeah, I think.
Hell
I think if
yes.
they even had a Dragon Age trailer, we would be excited. A Dragon Age-esque trailer. Little Nightmares 2 looks fantastic.
Yeah, Bloodworth.
Yeah.
Amazing, dude.
Certainly, yeah.
Visually,
So
just,
disturbing.
oof.
I know that was another one that somewhere in this weekend's got an extended demo. I don't know if it's happened yet or not.
Oh, like to watch, not to play.
Yeah.
I don't think I
sorry,
need
watch.
to like see anymore. Just
Yeah, I've seen
ready to
enough.
play it. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
gotta play that
particularly
first
if
one,
it's
I
just
haven't
as
played it.
short. I'm curious how much longer it might be because
Yeah, I wonder.
Little Nightmares was one of those games that was like 2 nights.
Yeah,
Probably.
weekend.
Yeah.
Totally, Blood. Yeah, when did we talk about that, Blood? I remember you were Hubert, play this.
Yeah, it's been a couple years
I
now.
remember that.
That's 2 nights sounds perfect. Please, Little Nightmares 2. The 2 meaning 2 nights.
I love when Blood pesters you to play a game. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's a little taste of your own medicine, Hubert.
Yep. Exactly.
Except usually it's a code that we got for something nobody's ever heard of. It's like, Blood, I don't want to.
12 Minutes got a cast, a hell of a cast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
baby.
And I'm seeing a lot of people that are still excited about that. And so that is I imagine that's a very, there's a lot of decisions you can make, but I imagine that game can be extremely spoiler heavy, like you might not know
Yes.
what type of stuff you're going to see. And so I could see the marketing team being nervous about showing too much. And I think from not seeing an incredible amount of that game, people are still excited. I think that marketing campaign is doing well.
It almost looked like the same trailer, just with Willem Dafoe reading a poem over it. Almost.
Probably some of the same
Maybe I
clips,
didn't go back and to compare them, but
There was one shot of the wife bleeding on the
Seemed
floor
a little
that I
different.
don't remember.
Yeah.
it was obviously a little different. I'm not complaining. This game looks hype as hell. I could just when Willem Dafoe is just doing calm voice, I could just it's like a soup. You just fall into it.
Damn it, no, it's soup now.
But yeah, speaking of time loops, it's actually it's kind of sad for this game because it feels like now everybody's doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
You know,
They
like,
announced
they've
this
been
game a long time
in
ago.
Thanks,
development for a
Nolan.
long time, and now it's like, oh, we got Deathloop, we got Lemon Escape, we got Quantum League.
Braid did it first.
Yeah,
True.
Prince of Persia did it first.
True.
Prince of Persia did it first.
not quite.
Video games from
Yeah.
the word go have been doing it. They just don't call attention to it.
I was a little nervous for Fall Guys going into this because Keighley was making
Oh,
such a
man.
big deal.
It was very hyped.
Dude.
And I love Keighley to death. But I was afraid I was like, what? You don't want to blow this up too much, dude. It's exciting that you got it. It was a Fast and Furious situation. Like, it's exciting that
Yeah.
Vin Diesel is on stage right now. I got it. This game is not
Just
exciting.
happy to be there.
Yeah, so yes,
Yeah.
Fall Guys being on a stage like that, I'm sure the team is freaking out. Fall Guys now at the point where they can show us what is in the next season of Fall Guys, which I actually do not know, when that will finally drop. That is also exciting. The
It's
content
like
of this
40 or 50 something days, I think, is 40
Yeah,
something
each
days left in
is
season 1.
60, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
All right, that seems a good time to get ATs. We might get some more.
Yeah, coming in
glimpses
October.
Of this.
Boom.
Nice.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I mean,
Medieval
just
costumes in
you're,
October,
you're
maybe?
wedged between Doom Eternal and World of Warcraft, and you're coming out like, "Hey, you could be a Viking or a mage." Thanks for inviting us, Jeff.
They're not intimidated.
No, yeah, they don't care. They're the big boys on the block
Mm-hmm.
now.
Yeah, I mean those
Yeah.
stages though, like the new levels and modes.
Pushing the blocks to get
Dude,
out.
the
Mayhem.
good.
yeah, the
It
team
looks
ones,
like a good mode.
the team games are getting
Sabotage.
so divisive, and people are. I see a lot of hate on the team games, but some of these new ones look awesome. Like, was the pushing the blocks a free for all though? So it's like you have to
It
work.
looked, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
You're
oh
like
my
helping
God.
people while
Right.
which hurts you as
Yeah.
Well,
you
the
need
big
them.
one is the rings. So like there's
The
the rings
rings.
that you have to move these objects to go get.
Yeah.
But if there's two dudes on one team moving it, and then some guy's just
Yeah.
waiting, and there's like,
Just
thanks.
yeah.
Yeah, you've
That
got to
was
have
it.
another team member there, or you've got to have somebody that's like ready to
Vultures,
grab
dude.
and stop somebody from going up. And,
What if it becomes
Crazy.
like a stalemate? No one wants to move any ramps, and they're all just like, "Who's gonna do it?" Yeah.
So you have games like Rainbow Six and Sea of Thieves, stuff that does not have a big launch, stuff that is missing things, like stuff that like Anthem wishes it was one of these, and then we have just this wonderful resurgence. And whether those are the numbers that the developers, publishers, companies behind them anticipated, they are still alive, they are still doing well. I can't help but think Fall Guys is the opposite. It's this bright shining star that just one day is going to burn out because people are moving on. Do we think this is a good content schedule? Do we think this team so far with their marketing and just the performance of the game, do you think this has staying power?
Yeah, I think they jumped on really quick with the social media stuff. I feel some of these newer games that come in, they don't know that they don't have an accurate idea of how big they're going to be. Sometimes it's not possible. There are a lot that come in with a plan expecting to be big, but you don't always have control over that. You really don't have any control whether or not your thing's going to be big or not. So when you see it exploding like that with viewers and people talking about social media, they jumped on really quick and capitalized and had really good engagement from what I could see with their community. And coming out with like a season 2 plan this soon, I think they're making all the right moves here to keep it sustained, because I could have seen this if they waited too long for this. Like they waited maybe another month, like 4 to 6 weeks, they could have risked this dying off. So them jumping in faster, they did the right thing. Absolutely.
And
Brandon. There are 183,000 people watching this game right now.
Right now. That's what I'm talking about next
Right
month.
now.
I'm talking about the new consoles launching. I'm talking about, Cyberpunk coming out. There's there's big things happening. Coming
everything
out of this,
falls. Everything falls.
Call of
It
Duty.
will.
Just,
I mean,
get out of the way.
right behind it are League of Legends, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Fortnite. So I
course.
don't know about everything falls.
A couple games are immortal. Jones, will Fall Guys be immortal? That is the question.
Yeah.
I think theming the season is essential. It's
An excellent call, Huber. Yeah.
the same game, but it feels brand new. It has the medieval vibe
Right.
just kind of wrapped all around it. Those are skins people are going to want to get. Like everyone loves their fantasy skins. And then of course it's going to come down to, how many new games can they pump out, and can they all be great quality? So I think they're off to a really good start. If they keep doing this game is going to be around for a long time.
Most
Long time at the top.
downloaded PlayStation Plus game of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
So,
Out of the free ones, or
first
it all?
PlayStation Plus, yeah. The ones you
Yeah,
specifically
yeah.
got through
Oh,
that
yeah,
service.
yeah.
Sorry. I thought you were stopping me, Blood. You were telling me how many. You were trying to prove me wrong by telling me how many people were currently playing that on Twitch. I want this to work out just because social media have done such a fun job. It's such a fun team. It's such a fun game, and I want it to do well.
Yeah, like Damiani was saying, just their social media, it seems like they can partner with anyone at this point, and that's always so huge. Fortnite dies off, and then they throw a Marvel event like they're doing now, and everyone's like, ah! So I think Fall Guys, same thing. It's like, hey, we're doing a Cyberpunk thing. We're doing a whatever
This
tie-in.
Still isn't on Xbox yet.
Oh yeah.
That's
You know?
huge. Yeah.
If it's, I'm not sure if it's possible to make a Switch version of this, but it's not on Switch yet either. If it hits either of those platforms, it's
Oh
gonna
my
be
God! Can you imagine the
another
Nintendo skins?
I mean, I could see
Yoshi
them doing
suit?
like a Simpsons crossover very easily, like a little bunch of little homers falling over. Like it's a no-brainer.
The fan skins are completely out of control. Shrek was the last one I saw before we went
Oh,
live
yeah,
here. Just Twitter threw that out at me. I was like, thank you for that. I thought Teardown had a nice showing, considering that was something that
Teardown looks fun,
had been
dude.
announced on social media before. I actually was there, just happened to be there on Twitter. That site goes at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but I just saw when that developer was like, "Hey, here's this fun little game I'm working on," and I thought that was intriguing enough.
Jones, I'm big on heists. I didn't really see a heist. They
Heist
threw
is
that-
a weird word.
They threw
to
that word
pick.
out there, and I was like,
no, it's like a power. It's like a power switch connection run. It's not a heist.
Game looked-
Huber is a connoisseur of heists.
I am indeed. That game looked amazing, but I don't know if we're really pulling heists here.
You're pulling jobs. It's a job of some
Yeah,
kind.
yeah.
We already talked
There you
about
go.
Crash Bandicoot 4, but I thought that
Looks awesome.
Same general vibes. I think when you do humor like that, you can be hit or miss, and you can be a little divisive. But I think Crash has done a good job. Bringing back remember this commercial, advertising campaign from 20 years ago? Like, But it's working. And lowlights, without a doubt, were Team Fordzilla, which I'm still trying to figure out what the hell that was.
What?
Even though it was lore-wise fun, watching a 7-minute, that was, at the end of the day, 7-minute World of Warcraft short film for the Bastion
That
series.
thing was 7 minutes?
I think so. Somebody said the video they put up later was 7 minutes. I don't know if it was 7 minutes during the actual
I think
thing.
I went and
Felt
blew
like
my
7.
nose or something halfway through it.
Oh, I can look at the timestamps.
Godfall.
No, wait, before we move
Godfall's
on to
got a
Godfall, Hubert,
We're
wanna
not moving
know-
on to Godfall.
Oh, but Hubert, did you like that World of Warcraft? You like World of Warcraft. Was that horrible?
I liked it. I
Yeah,
knew
that
all
was
the stuff
definitely-
they were talking
I don't care what you think, Jones.
I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't think that's the time to pull a short film out. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, that is a long time. Like, let people watch that on their own. Let them do that. The concept of dealing with what happens when you die in the Warcraft universe, I think is really awesome. A lot of people have died in the last couple decades, and like exploring life and death is really a cool way to go. But I don't think that was the time to pull that out.
Yeah.
It's
Jones, I
weird
was
to
just
me
kidding. I care what you
because
think. I'm sorry.
I said what I thought. What was the timestamp, Blood? Did you check it?
yeah, I checked it. It was definitely around 7 minutes in there.
Lich King, Jones.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Frostbite.
Forget about it.
For me, though, it was interesting because, like, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, this is not the place for this. But on the other hand, like, by the end, I was actually getting into it. Like, I was actually starting to, like, see the, like, the players and the movements and all of that. And you're like, okay, this is kind of interesting, even though it shouldn't be here.
And WWE 2K Battlegrounds gave me that really uncomfortable fake host dialogue guy not watching gameplay but reading a script like he is, which
And like the other guy wasn't there and
Yeah.
never talked, but he kept referring to him. and
well,
it
it's
was
like
so
you said,
bizarre.
Damiani, when we were
I wish Morrow was actually there.
when we
Morrow
were
was cool.
live, it was like it reminded you of the old days. It was a little taste of what things were like, before the world changed this year. And I felt the same way when I watched WWE 2K Battlegrounds. I was like, oh, that's the stuff. That's what I need. And them paying somebody to be on
Yeah.
set for 30 minutes,
Probably
reading a
so
script
much.
they don't understand.
Huh.
That's the good stuff.
I wonder
the
what the
character
paycheck
models
was.
in that game are wrecked.
Yeah.
They look disgusting.
Like, is it
to
a
me.
mobile game? It looks like mobile.
Is it
Oh,
like
God.
backyard
On console.
wrestling? It looks like backyard
Ev-
wrestling or whatever.
And
those
this
are.
is coming off of 2K20, which is just an absolute abomination. Just
Well, this has to be a different
horrid.
developer. for that.
Yeah, they took it over, so trying to shake it up.
Like, I feel bad. This one looks fun. Like, it looks like a fun wrestling game, but it's just so hideous to gaze upon.
Yeah, I don't know, Huber. I don't know if this makes sense to you, but I feel like these character models, they've just got, because of the pandemic, it's like all the wrestlers have just had way too many donuts.
I mean, yeah, they were like,
edition.
they were like,
Specifically
Well, their
donuts.
heads are too
they were
big
like
and
weirdly shaped and stuff.
Well, they were
but
like
Yeah.
going for like a style choice, but
Yeah.
it just didn't pay off.
it's a weird style
Donut
for
style.
sure. Not into it.
The Godfall thing was so weird.
And now,
Wait, Jones, what about the?
What? Oh, come on! I'm trying to make us some money here, bro.
Wait, what about that horror game, dude?
What about the what horror?
The really cool looking
so
horror
many other
one.
games, dude.
Quantum
That-
Error?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Just quick shout out to that.
We
really,
saw a teaser of that in June.
yeah, but it looked awesome, dude. It reminds me of Riddick.
It did. The lighting was cool.
Riddick.
The character models
Riddick,
were.
yeah.
It was a little, like, certainly
okay.
current gen. I don't know. Visually, it was a little. I would say stale. It's just it didn't.
Pretty-
Yeah. I don't know.
Pretty soon we're gonna have to put a moratorium on the words quantum, Elden, eldest, souls, ring
Loop.
in
Out.
game titles.
Chronicles, please.
Chronicle, yeah, like too many games. Like, oh yeah, I want to also be a Dark Souls game. It's like, so my name is called Eldest whatever. And it's just like, get the hell out of here, man.
Quantum Souls.
Quantum Souls, oldest quantum ring.
All right, I'm sorry, Jones.
All right, Jones, we'll be quiet. We'll be good.
I'm sorry.
Can I talk about sponsors? For people that are getting this podcast early, I'm just going to jump right to the next story. I don't care. But for you, now's the time for a word from our sponsors. Rooster Teeth is joining forces with Samsung and AT&T 5G to kick things off for their upcoming RTX at-home virtual event. They are creating a Ruby outdoor mural that you can add art to from home using the Mark Augmented Reality app. Just download the Mark app and start creating your own Ruby art starting on September 5th through September 7th. Each night, fans' designs will be projected on the mural wall, and you could see yours come to life. If you're on the AT&T 5G network at home, you can access Plus mode through the Mark app, so you'll now get the highest res video and crystal clear images to explore. Check out the new Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5G powered by AT&T 5G. AT&T 5G requires a compatible plan and coverage is not in all areas. Here are just some of the new features you can try out on the Note 20. Cloud gaming will be available with the power of 5G. It has a 120 Hz adaptive display that automatically adjusts the refresh rate according to the content you're viewing, and an intelligent battery that optimizes for your gameplay. With an advanced processor, you get a smooth gaming experience with virtually no lag. Check out the S Pen and Samsung Notes to help create your own works of art. Head over to att.com/Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5G to learn how you can get the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 5G for free, or the Galaxy Note 20 5G Ultra for $299.99 for a limited time. And we were recently given a Pro X wireless headset that Ian is currently using.
I've been using it the whole show.
See, this is the thing. I gotta use skin cleansers, man. You just get to put the headphones on, and boom, you're done. How nice.
Good news, Jones. They sent another one.
It's my birthday!
So I can drop it off at the studio.
If you could just clean it with the damp cloth first, that would be great.
We have alcohol wipes here, but I didn't
better.
open this one.
Even better.
This one's
Appreciate that.
unopened.
Nice. Yeah, but you've been touching it. Like you're touching it right now. My germs. What do you think, Ian?
I like it. They sound good. It's got that, what is it called? Lightspeed? Bluetooth?
Quantum
I want to make
speed?
sure I get it right.
Oh, it's
yeah,
Bluetooth.
Lightspeed wireless technology.
Lightspeed wireless tech. That's right. I figured you have an ad read right in front of you.
From memory.
It's got the. It has like a dongle. I can't pull it out to show you, and I wouldn't be able to hear you anymore. But you put it in a USB dongle, and it's faster than regular Bluetooth. It's got no delay. So, because I was concerned about that as having like a delay, But I tested it. I even took it into Premiere, and did like a clap sync test, and it was fine. So yeah, it sounds really good. There's a mic as well that I have disconnected right now. I'm using my podcast mic because it's a podcast mic, but for playing games and stuff, the mic is fine. So yeah, it's they're cool, and it's got a mute button, which is nice, and a volume knob. They're good. The range is really good. Like I can go anywhere in my apartment and still hear you fools.
Dude,
Oh, that's cool.
that's awesome.
Very cool.
They're pretty and they came with extra ear cups. So these are the ones that were originally on it. They were like the whatever soft, like I don't know what they are, but then I switched them out for these cloth ones because they're a little cooler because it's hot in here all the time. So it doesn't block as much noise, but it lets in more air. So my ears don't sweat as much.
Here I am using wired headphones like a sucker.
Yeah, wire free. I feel like I could float away.
Based on the award-winning pro gaming headset design, the Pro X wireless headset features high-quality materials, advanced communications, precision audio, and total wireless freedom. It has Lightspeed wireless technology, as we have mentioned, and up to 20-plus hours of battery life. There's a detachable pro-grade microphone featuring real-time Blue Voice technology, including passive noise isolation, a compressor, limiter, and more for clean, professional voice comms. Advanced Pro G 50mm drivers deliver clear and precise sound imaging with improved bass response. Hear footsteps and environmental cues with clarity to give you the competitive edge with supreme comfort and durability. The Pro X has a pro-grade, sleek, and minimal design that's built to last with premium aluminum and a steel reinforced headband. Its ultra comfortable memory foam ear pads and headband are wrapped in plush leatherette and provide passive noise isolation. Leatherette, Hubert. Fun to say. Extra velour ear pads are also included for a softer feel. For a limited time, Logitech G is offering our listeners 10% off select products at logitechg.com. Logitech, you gotta put that G in there, .com. Use code EASYA for 10% off today. That's 10% off select Logitech G products with promo code EASYA, and that is the word easy, E-A-S-Y-A, not the E in the letter Z. E-A-S-Y-A at logitechg.com. And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you. Huber's time to talk about Batman. Actually, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah, dude.
Maybe not.
He did.
We finally.
He's dead.
Your painful journey
They got him.
has finally come to an end. We finally know about the next thing that WB Montreal and Rocksteady Studios, and we found out in the same day. Could you have guessed? Did you think one was maybe going to come sooner or later?
I figured one would come out sooner.
Ah,
And
well,
yeah,
one is.
then
we're
yeah.
getting-
And I guess I figured we'd see one first and then the other.
WB is developing Gotham Knights, a 2-player co-op, although there will be 4-player brawler experiences, according to
Wait,
IGN,
really?
according to an interview they did with IGN. But the core gameplay, open world Gotham game featuring all 4 of Batman's sidekicks, Batgirl, Red Hood, Robin, and Nightwing. And Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. We're not getting until 2022. I would like to start with Suicide Squad because what the hell are we going to talk about? There's not a lot. I had to look up King
Metropolis.
Shark. Certainly Metropolis is a big deal. It's fun to have that dev team working on a new city.
And
Daylight, it's a big deal.
and
Yeah.
continuing the Arkham story. Yes.
Very weird that this is the one continuing the Arkham story and not Gotham Knights. Because when I was watching Gotham Knights, I was like, oh, cool, it's the Batman story. And then I
Yeah.
found out later, I'm like, oh, no, okay, other one.
I mean,
Which is
it's-
weird because the feel is pretty different. But
I think
which
it makes sense because it's the same studio.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's their baby, you know. Even
But
though
Arkham
makes total
Origins
sense.
was canon. That was part
Well,
of the...
but Rocksteady always referred to their games as the Arkham Trilogy, which I always
I
thought was a fun
know.
snub to Montreal. And so they
and-
finally just kicked them out. You get out of our Gotham universe, you know?
And Origins never got that remaster that everyone's always wanted.
True.
It's like so
Wait.
snubbed.
New voice actors, everything, you know, so...
And there was Blackgate as well, the Vita one, but
True.
we don't talk about that one.
Who's making Gotham Knights then? I don't
WB
remember.
Montreal, the same team that made
okay.
Origins.
Oh, okay. So the combat will be the same as the other Batman
It
games.
is similar.
probably.
They said that they have dressed it up a little bit, and obviously they're changing it because they want each of these characters to feel, you know, different from each other, and are claiming
looked
that you
different.
can change up enough stuff. They say that you can't have 2 of the same characters. You can have be 2 Batgirls, but like they're like, oh, the Batgirls would be so different. Kind of same thing they're saying with Avengers, which we will see how different.
Yeah, with customizable abilities and stuff.
I think it certainly
yeah.
look different, but I don't know, how different you will, discern. Maybe you can feel that difference, but if you are the other player, I don't know if you will necessarily notice those things. But 4 players in the Suicide Squad, 4 characters. Do we think they're going to add more? Suicide
I think
Squad,
so.
I just think bigger than 4.
The idea of killing these characters off as you progress.
Meaning the Justice League.
No, the Suicide
kill the
Squad,
Suicide
Jones.
Squad.
Yes, that your characters that you're playing in this game die and get swapped out with new ones. Yes, because it is not a games as a service. You have no. You're not entitled to like, this is the character I'm leveling and I'm gonna keep it forever. Like, no, dude, you're going against the Justice League. What better way to raise the stakes than some crazy Captain Boomerang blowing himself up to smithereens or Superman snapping someone's neck?
Rips King Shark's jaws out of his head.
Yeah, dude, I could totally see it.
I'll shoot you down. I'll take the other perspective.
Yeah.
I'll take the opposite opinion for 500, Alex. How about you don't kill any of them because they're being mind manipulated by Brainiac. And so
Right.
there's like a chip in their head and you just got it. They're going to headshot Superman and it's going to destroy the chip and he's going to survive it. And thank you, Suicide Squad. But they will be multiplayer. So multiplayer was really like the big take of the day, Huber. And a lot of people are not happy about that. A lot of people are surprised. Interesting that, Gotham Knights was pushing that Court of Owls narrative for so long in their advertising. And then we get to the game and like Court of Owls kind of took a back seat. It was really just like a tease at the end of the trailer. They didn't really talk about that. First and foremost, Batman's dead. You are these 4 characters, co-op, their own Gotham. Just a lot of stuff to talk about these games that really had nothing to do specifically with that comic. Which was like your background when we watched this reaction.
Yeah.
So,
I think multiplayer and numbers above enemies is a red flag to people right now. So I can see why that backlash hit. Everyone was like, oh, is this games as a service? Is this Avengers? And Gotham Knights very quickly said, no, this is open world co-op game, beginning, middle, and end. You go through, it's over. So obviously it's meant to kind of, establish more to come, if they'll do DLCs and that stuff. But it is, an open world in the sense of like an Assassin's Creed or something. So
Have they said why it's 2-player and not 4? Because it seems like it so naturally would be 4.
Yes, I actually read a really good back and forth interview from IGN that actually I'm going to quote a little bit. But they said like that felt a little bit more to us the way that when we read old comics and like Batman would bump into Nightwing and be like, oh hey, let's go do this thing together. They're like that just seemed to us.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's them saying technically that's why they're justifying it, or if that actually was thematically what they wanted to do with the game. But
yeah. 4-player just seems a lot more chaotic. Like you could probably you can't follow a story. 4 players, it's so much harder.
Sure.
To like really get in the zone.
Yep.
But that's the thing with Suicide Squad, though, is they're still emphasizing character-driven, story-based gameplay. That's why I don't think that we'll see this huge universe of playable characters, because they're introducing you to these characters for a reason. Like these are the ones they want you to be invested in.
They'll have a story conceit to separate those 4 out from the other Suicide Squad members or something.
Yeah, Hubert, they'll bring in other members of Suicide Squad you just probably can't play, and they'll be the expendable ones.
Yeah.
But there absolutely has to be people that die in that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
or just feel wrong.
Yeah.
Hubert, if you want a game where you have an ensemble cast where each playable character can die and then they're dead for the whole game, check out a game called Obscure. Sophia and I played it on a stream. I want to go back and finish it. You would love this game.
Cool.
You're students at a high school dealing with like this crazy horror situation.
I love high school dramas.
And if one of the students dies, they're dead.
Dude.
And you have like a team of 5 of them or something. It's
I love
crazy.
that.
The stakes are awesome. It's a fun game.
Awesome. I've never even heard that, Ian.
You
Awesome.
love it, yeah.
I thought you were going to say Mass Effect 2.
Also that.
Senior producer Fleur Marty, who's one of the 2 on this IGN interview, said, this is very much not designed as games as a service. This is Gotham Knights, of course. There is an ability tree which is different for each of the characters, and there's gear that you can craft, and so choices that you are going to be making, but that does not mean that this is games as a service. I love some games are games as a service, but I love games like this, or like, it's a bad word. You gotta get out there and tell people if that is not what you're making.
When they talk about crafting gear, I want that to be something that happens like 3 times. Like I want you to really have to choose, what you're going to invest in and have a good reason for doing so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing that concerns me is kind of the RPG stuff. Like that is, I love that for games. Like I'm not against it, but I really love Arkham's combat. The free flow combat, and when you start bringing numbers into it and health bars, it feels more attack mash based rather than tactical. Blade dodge takedown here, flip over this guy here, break this gun here, that chess piece rhythm style of free flow. The combat that they showed, Batgirl was only taking on a couple enemies at once, but, just draining that health bar looked a lot more offensive. So, it's hard to see the nuance there.
Will the game compensate
game is still
for co-op? Is it hard? Is it easier because Robin was there? Or would that be harder?
Yeah.
Good news though, Huber. Creative director Patrick Redding's got your back. It's true that as you are getting more powerful in your progression, you're going to see a sliding scale in terms of not just the level of the enemies, but even some of the types of enemies that you're going to be coming up against. But it's not a grind. It's not a situation where you'll say, "Oh God, I got to grind this type of mission in order to level up to this, and then I can get this." It's really that when you encounter open world crime activities and other activities that involve the AI, you're going to see a range. You might see guys that are a little bit weaker than you, guys that are a little bit stronger than you, and how you approach each of those situations, it presents you with some choices that you're going to have to make. Like, is this situation where I'm going to maybe swap out a piece of equipment because I think I'm going to handle it better that way? Or do I want to take a more stealthy approach? All of those are options that are available to the player, and the level of your enemy is just one factor in deciding that.
Nice.
Fingers crossed.
Sounds smart, yeah.
Maybe not necessarily what that game needs, having played Arkham, but it is interesting. I think that my main takeaway that I actually do enjoy is that it is their own Gotham, that they, because part of me is like, oh, it'd be really fun, on, eventually next gen consoles, to go back to this Arkham and to see what is up and, the Arkham City that I knew, from the past gen. but it's also kind of fun to just give me more Gotham cities every year. I just want new cities, new and I love Arkham Origins. I really I thought that game was special, and so I'm excited to see this team get their own thing.
And I liked because in the trailer, Bruce Wayne says like he's leaving them some other kind of like adjunct bat cave. It's like out of date.
The
Belfry.
Or whatever,
Belfry,
right?
Belfry,
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, and which is a really cool conceit because it's like you're not getting the A machines, and sort of like what Blood was saying is you can maybe choose how to upgrade stuff. I wonder if that'll factor in where it's like you only have enough resources to go with like batarangs or like this other tech, and it's like that's your choice.
Yeah, these
the
guys
whole
aren't
game.
super rich, right? Any
yeah,
of these guys
no,
super
they're
rich?
like I don't.
But
think
if
so.
Bruce left them the resources, that's probably money too, right?
Well, but like, why didn't he leave them the Batcave?
Because he
Right?
burned
He
it.
left them the
I
side
think,
thing.
yeah. Maybe he had to. I don't know. Yeah, maybe the
Blew
Court
it
of
up.
Owls got in there. Maybe he took out a bunch of Court of Owls members by doing that.
Well, and that's the thing is like, Bruce Wayne's probably not dead, right? The Court
Well,
of Owls are just like
The devs did double down,
faking it.
and again, wink, wink, but they did say, because like some reporters were like, okay, he's not really dead. They were like, read my lips, Batman's dead. I was like, oh, okay, but they also
Bruce
said,
Wayne's still alive.
but they also said that there's room for growth. Because people were like, are you doing sequels to this, or is this just a weird off thing? And they were like,
Flashbacks.
yeah, we'd love to. So. it's
Well, the
Batman
Court
dead
of
for all
Owls is
times.
so cool. They're a
Yeah.
weird,
Get to
freaky.
beyond.
Hubert, Tim Beshan from Patreon's pissed. Why are there no Batman in the new Batman games? I'm really bummed that WB Montreal and Rocksteady's games that are 2 and 4 player co-op without Batman. Where's my Arkham continuation? Your thoughts? Do we need
Suicide-
Batman? Is that? It seems like an intentional bummer,
We've had like you hit me with Wolverine the other day, Jones.
Yeah, of
we've
course.
had so
Yeah.
much Batman, an embarrassment of riches. If you love this character, like you should be so satisfied, so full on excellent top quality games. So the fact that we're getting 2 other games related, obviously Suicide Squad is a direct continuation of Arkham Knight, and then Gotham Knights is its own thing. It's still in the Batman universe, so like there's just so much. Like I understand wanting to play as Batman, but like we've had a lot.
Well, Batman could show up.
And
in
Batman could show up in-
Suicide Squad.
Exactly.
For
Batman
sure.
will show up
Yeah.
in one of
And
these
you'll
games.
kill him.
Right.
And you'll kill him or you'll play as him like
Right.
for sure. 100%.
Or when we were reacting to it, somebody said maybe you work with him. Maybe he dodged whatever
Uneasy Alliance.
hacking job was done on the Justice League, or maybe
Dude,
he fakes
Harley-
it, or
Harley and
love, like-
Batman having
Sure.
to team up, like
Yeah.
give me
It's
that.
definitely
all, like,
been done before, and it's always
reluctant
jolly.
about
Yeah. Harley just like exactly, dude. Harley being out of control. It's gonna be awesome.
And I recommend everyone to go out and check out Arkham Knight. A lot of people probably will before Suicide Squad comes out. Some interesting additions to Batman's arsenal in that game, just lore wise. He wraps that up in an interesting state. So it'll be interesting to see if Suicide Squad is maybe a continuation of that. And I dropping my prediction now that we're going to get some big Justice League trailer where you finally see, Green Lantern and Flash and Wonder Woman. Batman's at the end of that sucker. Like they're gonna finally knock them all out and be like, oh, we did it. And then nope.
Dude, Aquaman versus King Shark. Let's go, man. Let's go.
All right. Sadly, though, Huber, I do want to touch on another thing that we did talk about last week. There have been developments, and I feel that it is only fair that we are excited about Rocksteady Studios working in the next 2 years. If they've been starting since Arkham Knight ended, that'll be 7-year development on this game. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Unfortunately,
Sorry. But yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely been talk that there have been other projects potentially that have been canceled in this time. So it may not be that they've been working on Suicide Squad all this time, that they've started up a few things and got shut down or didn't get a green light or whatever, and now this is where we're at. I'm curious to find out what has happened in this interim.
I wonder if they're ever going to be in a position, to be honest about that stuff, or if say someone was to leave the company and let us know things that are going on at Rocksteady Studios that maybe the company isn't willing to talk about. Much like Kim McCaskill, the former senior scriptwriter, who wrote a letter in November of 2018 that was signed by 10 of the 16 women at the company, that, according to The Guardian, raised complaints about behavior, including slurs regarding the transgendered community and discussing a woman in a derogatory or sexual manner with other colleagues, and sexual harassment in the form of unwanted advances, leering at parts of a woman's body, and inappropriate comments in the office. We did talk about this last week. I do want to clarify stuff like this, and I just feel it's right to talk about this, while we are talking about Rocksteady. She just recently posted a 13-minute video on YouTube, if you want to go check that out, where she talked about...
Oh.
And she is a senior scriptwriter. And so two things potentially put this in the... obviously we want to wait until, all this information is out. And obviously we would love to hear, have Rocksteady take this seriously, and to hear more from the team about that they are making steps to improve this. But two things that stand out to me. One, she's the former senior scriptwriter, left Rocksteady. Rocksteady says because she left voluntarily. She says definitely not. I was asked by HR multiple times not to publish this letter. I did it anyways, for the sake of my colleagues. And I don't know what kind of picture you have in your head of how big Rocksteady is, but 16 women at Rocksteady is not an impressive number. Granted, that was 2 years ago, but...
That stood out to me immediately. I was like,
Yeah.
only 16 women at the whole company? What the fuck?
So few.
And you got to, if you were to wonder, like, what if, only 10 of the 16 women signed that? Well, these women were very nervous to talk about this stuff. And she mentions that the Ubisoft scandal that I think that company is still reeling from was another reason that she finally published this letter. So this letter was written 2 years ago, but we only found out about it now.
She didn't publish it until now.
No, yeah. So it was given
Yeah.
to the executives at Rocksteady in 2018, but then finally spoke about it now because apparently multiple signatories have left the company owing to a lack of action. The response amounted to 1 hour long training seminar, and then that was it. And apparently since this letter came out in 2020, Rocksteady had an all hands meeting on the 13th to discuss the letter with the entire company for the very first time. So this is a company that needs lots of poking and prodding to officially deal with this issue. And while, again, a lot of the specific ins and outs of these occurrences are not known to us, and, we can only do a lot of speculation on a lot of this stuff, a lot of these people left the company. This is a situation, an environment that they did not want to be around anymore. And recently when she posted this video, she said, "Take me out of the credits." Because I think that was one concern that they were like, I'm not going to be at the company anymore, but I worked really hard on Suicide Squad. I would love it if my work is referenced in this game. Kim had such a bad time at Rocksteady. She said, I don't want anything to do with this company. I don't have anything to do with this game. Get me out of here. So you have Rocksteady that's like, we dealt with this. And then now they're like, well, we'll deal with this again and we'll bring people in and we'll have a meeting with the entire company. And then you have Ubisoft, who is firing people right and left. I don't know if all of us have the answers, but what could be the difference here? What's the difference between Rocksteady and Ubisoft that this is a situation that Ubisoft seems to be taking much more seriously than Rocksteady is?
One of the quotes from The Guardian was
kudos to The Guardian, who's been covering all of this stuff.
From the signatory was like, quote, I'd say 97 to 98% of the developers there are incredible people, and it's so unfair that this will land on them because a few people weren't managed properly. So I think Ubisoft seemed, just from the outside, like it was way more people. And maybe Rocksteady is like just a few higher ups, and because the higher ups are in control, they're not going to fire themselves, maybe. But either way, it's just so disheartening to hear all these companies having abusive practices in some form or another, and it just sucks. It just makes me bummed.
But then you have all of this stuff happening on Ubisoft, which is them emboldening these women, at this other company to take a step forward and to feel that, yes, perhaps we are in a culture of change.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's also really difficult with this situation is that, like, Rocksteady has also, like, multiple times put out their own statements, and they're similarly saying that, like, we have tried to do things, and like, okay, well, now we're gonna get independent third party to come in and survey the company and things like that. And so I think it really makes it really difficult to sort out where the severity is and what has actually been done. And then there in the middle of it, there's that weird thing where, like, they published this thing that they said was written by women that signed the original letter, but it's like, well, but this isn't coming from the women. This is coming from you. So it's like,
Very
did you edit
strange.
this? Did you take the best parts that you thought would sound good? You know,
And are those women NDA'd? Can they like not say anything?
right? Yeah. So it's hard because it's like, this is why I try to like just talk in terms of like, you know, the aspirational of like what should be done in a situation, because when you start getting these nitty gritties, it's so hard to know what is actually going on without having a perspective of being at the company.
Of course.
I
Which
just
is like
looked it up.
the best thing I can hope for is that people, if they are in a situation like this, have the strength and the courage, you know, and someone backing them, if it just happens to be other people at other companies, to take a dangerous or risky step forward and say something. Sorry, Ian.
Rocksteady Studios, yeah.
Yeah.
As of 2020, has 239 employees. So only 2 years ago, only 16 women out of that.
Crazy.
Not great.
Right.
Also, in my, because I was wondering like how if Ubisoft and Rocksteady are publicly traded, and then I remembered Rocksteady's owned by WB, so like whatever. But Ubisoft, I didn't realize that the Guillemot family has a 18.5% ownership stake in that company. They own that. That's pretty wild. But yeah, like 16 out of 239. What is that? What percent? Let's see.
We'll find out in corrections. I've also wondered if there's a difference between publisher and developers in this case, because with developers,
That's 6%.
this really is just this one project, and I wonder if the higher ups at Rocksteady are like, we'll weather this. You know, they're like, we're not releasing this game for another 2 years. You know, this is gonna die down. Where someone like Ubisoft, it's like, we have so many projects in development. You know, this could potentially affect all of that stuff. So we can't wait on this. This is something we need to deal with.
Rocksteady also claims that they're going to reach out to everybody that's left in the past 2 years to ask them, you know, their thoughts as well. So that's the thing. It's like their most recent statement from Rocksteady sounds positive. It's just this question of, is it actually being met with the action steps behind the scenes?
Yeah.
I will hope, but for certain, every time I think about Suicide Squad, I am going to think about this story. And the fact that this happened, this letter was written 2 years ago, and Suicide Squad is coming out in 2 years. 2022 might be an excellent time to check back in with Rocksteady. Be like, hey, anybody write any letters right now? What the hell's going on?
Like, what do we do? It it feels gross, you know? It feels tainted to like even be excited then for a Ubisoft game or for Suicide Squad, knowing that like grimy shit was going down behind the scenes.
You think about that 98%, Huber. You think about that the majority of the company that is doing exciting work, that is really proud, which is why it's so heartbreaking for her to, you know, remove her name from these credits.
Right.
But
yeah, and with me with Ubisoft, you know, because I've worked with certain people at Ubisoft for 10-ish years or so, you know, like I know a lot of people that are, you know, probably in the position of being victims of these things, you know, and they've stuck with the company, you know, so it's like, you know, it does present this strange dilemma of like treating a company like it's a single entity when it's not. It's thousands and thousands of people and a culture, and trying to, you know, getting all of that to align and be in a better place is like a crazy situation.
Well, but like the proof is in the pudding, yeah, because like Jones said, by drawing that comparison, like Ubisoft is firing a bunch of people.
Yeah.
If Rocksteady doesn't, and if what, I can't remember the numbers that you said, but like if it's only 90% of the people working at Rocksteady are chill, and then 10% are bad boys, then like why aren't they firing them?
Yeah.
Like fire them. Do it. Do the thing. And then if they don't, Huber, is it our responsibility to not buy that game? Like, is it then on us because they're not going to take any action? Whereas, like, Ubisoft is, like, taking the steps as far as it seems from our perspective. So, like, you can feel good about buying, you know, Watch Dogs Legion or whatever, because it's like they're doing it. But if Rocksteady doesn't do it, then it has to come to us.
Yeah.
You know?
Rocksteady's statement does include that, you know, they disciplined and terminated people. So it's...
Oh, they did?
Yeah. But
terminate
again,
is the important word. Like, discipline, I'm like... Psh, bite it. Like you slapping somebody's wrist is meaningless.
Got it.
We will see. Yeah, if it makes a difference. I just wanted to include both of those stories at the same time. Time will tell. Also, this week, wanted to go into details. We are running near the end of the podcast, but we had, surprise, a Nintendo Direct Mini with the August partner
Surprise,
showcase,
Damiani.
which did you actually manage to catch that live, Damiani, or did you do that like just after the fact, those reactions?
No, it was close. I don't know. I woke up, I saw a tweet. Thankfully, it was a retweet of Nintendo's tweet. Otherwise, I probably would have seen all the announcements scrolling down my Twitter feed because I had no idea. I don't know when it happened, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I got up at like 9 a.m. and just saw, oh, well, I guess I'll just watch this. So, again, they shadow dropped it. I think they shadow dropped it because the whole discussion about managing expectations, I think Nintendo...
Was my question.
They're basically like, you know what? We've tried saying stuff about this, and you know what? Maybe some of these is just better just to drop them. Say nothing, put it out there, and people will start to understand that maybe a surprise can happen. Stop expecting a surprise.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, it was nice. It was a nice mini partner presentation. It's the second one. Sounds like they're going to be doing these every single month, potentially, going forward for a while. This one felt better, had a better pacing. I think they maybe just had a better, broader selection of games to pick from. Don't think it had the big finish quite like the SMT5 date or window plus Nocturne HD or remaster, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. It still felt good, but again, yikes! The drought for Nintendo, like proper Nintendo Direct. It's getting out of hand with like any little bit of any tweet from Nintendo. People just jump on it like we're Smash, where's Smash character, where's the Direct, and even it's a whole mess right now. It's really chaotic. It's unfortunate. I mean, we got more rumors. Like there's supposed to be something tomorrow. Doesn't look like it's happening. So they're supposed to be happening for sometime in September. We got more. The Switch Pro rumors are back. Cover that shit for like most of freaking 2019. It's back again. It's just, it's weird. If anything, I feel like people think there's something going on behind the scenes there, but at the same time, I think it's actually pretty clear what's going on. This is third-party showcases just submit us their stuff because we don't. Nintendo themselves always have their own plan for their own internal stuff. They're gonna do whatever they want. I don't know if I have enough confidence anymore to think they're gonna do a full-blown Direct anytime this year again. I think they might do a trailer or presentation for a single game again, like they did with Paper Mario, the Origami King. They probably do one for Pikmin at some point, but I think they just told publishers, you gotta send us your stuff. We'll do a third-party one or do it on your own, but don't count on us, to do like a big Direct or anything like that.
I think they're
It's
taking
weird.
COVID very seriously.
Yeah.
It's weird to
And
me
being
that
affected.
it's like people are freaking out and it's doom and gloom. And they had one of the biggest games ever this year, Animal Crossing and Paper Mario. Like PlayStation had Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima. Nintendo had Animal Crossing and Paper Mario. Like, why is everyone freaking out, Damiani? What's
Because
the
people
deal?
are saying, because they're the rumors. They're the people who are insiders are saying things, but the problem, it's twofold. There are insiders who are not reliable that people put too much stock into. And I feel because there is a lack of general communication coming about first-party titles that people are used to, I feel they're being exploited. They'll see a random rumor on a random site and just want to believe so desperately it's true or it sounds plausible. But then you also have insiders who do know things. The multiple 2 or 3 insiders said there would be something this week. They didn't say it was going to be a proper Direct. They just said there'd be something this week. And people will see what they want to see and draw their own conclusions and think this is it. This is the big thing. And even with Sony and Microsoft, we've gotten multiple events from them. Even if they haven't been knocked out of the park, whether you believe they did or not, they still got their events. They still had something that resembled what you expected in this time frame. I think the answer, Huber, the biggest piece to this equation is just there was no E3 for Nintendo. It's just people are like, where are the announcements? We're used to big announcements from Nintendo every year, and you really haven't gotten that focused thing, and it's throwing a lot of people out of the loop for that.
Got it. The other ones have been loud and Nintendo's been quiet.
Yep.
Got it.
Ad company.
Do you think?
Bubble.
I was just gonna. This is quick. I was just gonna say, let's say Nintendo keeps doing these things where they just drop them without saying anything first to manage hype. Will that backfire when eventually they do announce something ahead of time? It'll redouble the fervor. Everyone will be like, "Oh my God, they said something first. That means it's gonna be Metroid and everything."
I mean, are you asking if like tomorrow they shadow drop the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, and would that backfire?
I'm saying if they announce anything ahead of time now, will it make people's hype go even crazier because they just dropped this?
I feel like unfortunately it's not entirely their fault. I mean, them not saying anything about first party stuff other than what we've talked about already. Like we're referencing here, we're referencing Breath of the Wild 2. Let's be honest, like Breath of the Wild 2. People are expecting this game. It came out. The original came out in 2017. It's been over 3 years. It's supposed to be a sequel. Even though it's open world, you'd think this shouldn't take this long. People thought it was like near completion, and people are wondering where the heck it is and when we're gonna see it next. There are plenty of other first party games people want to hear about, like Metroid and so on. But it's Breath of the Wild 2. It's pretty much Breath of the Wild 2. Where is Breath of the Wild 2? When are we gonna see it next? And I think the best course of action for them is just to be open. If we're getting a Breath of the Wild, if something's going to include Breath of the Wild, just say so. Like, say like next week they announce a direct. Like next Friday, there will be a Nintendo Direct featuring an update on several first-party titles, including the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel. Just say it's in there. Don't make that a surprise. At this point, don't make that make that an unknown. As long as they're upfront about what's going to be in it, when it comes to the first party stuff, I think they've actually done that well. They did it with Min Min and the Fighter. They said it was going to be an arms fighter for the first fighter. That went over perfectly well. I think as long as they say something upfront about first party stuff, they're great. It's when they don't say anything or they say things that are ambiguous, like Way Forward is going to be announcing a new title tomorrow from a third party IP that it's like, ooh. That's like, that's.
Society is engineering a world where surprises won't be possible anymore. Because we can't handle them one way or the other.
That is the true dystopia to me.
Damiani, did you see those that talk that Pikmin was supposed to come out months ago, and they just basically just moved it to keep the schedule rolling?
I saw that. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, honestly, to be fair, they're still having a record year. Switches are selling at a record pace.
Well,
software is setting records.
Sold out constantly.
There actually isn't a lot of incentive for them to put out to cannibalize everything. Like they're letting these games breathe and have these like long runs, and they're reaping the benefits of that. I don't think they people are like, oh, we need the 35th Mario Anniversary Collection in September, October. We need Breath of the Wild 2 in November. Like, I don't think that would be the best case for them. They might just be holding on to these things because they have other plans for next year, and they might want to save them. They might want to save these bigger games and whatever they're doing as counteraction to what Microsoft and Sony are going to do, or just they want, when they see Switch sales slowing down, oh, Switch Pro coming out, oh, launching with Breath of the Wild 2, oh, Prime 4, like I think that's just how they operate, is that people think I think people make it more complicated than it seems sometimes with their ideas and theories. I think they just do what makes the best business sense for them. And right now, there isn't really. The only thing that's going to honestly put pressure on them is the investors. And people are pointing to a potential investor meeting coming up or something like that in September, where the investors might start asking questions. And if Nintendo stock, it was at like a record high recently. If it starts going the other way drastically, then that might put more pressure on them to talk about stuff. But until then, I think they're fine.
Yeah, I don't think that they would intentionally hold stuff off, because I think that they have actually made a pretty solid effort of having something come out, almost monthly for the Switch. Or if they can't, then, they're still around 6 weeks or so apart. I do think that because of where they're located and just the infrastructure in Japan of how people tend to be different in their home and work life, that it's just been a lot harder for them to really keep the development on pace. And so since they haven't announced dates, then they're like, hey, let's just wait until it's ready.
They have that COVID
right
warning at the beginning of all of their directs. And so
Yeah.
not a lot of other companies are doing that. And so they are clearly being affected.
I don't know how much we've gotten to peek behind the curtain on some of the Japanese companies, how they've been affected. I can give you one example. The Final Fantasy 14 team got permanently delayed 3 months. Everything in their roadmap is backed by 3 months now, including the expansion that usually comes out every other summer, sorry, which would be coming out next summer, is no longer coming out next summer. They already said like it's going to be several months after that. It took them about 3.5 months to get a workflow and pipeline established that we're back on schedule. Nothing else will be delayed, because they're not used to working from home. Also, they work a lot of secrecy. They pride themselves on protecting this stuff, not having leaks, and having this like everyone works inside the office mentality. I think it was a little harder maybe for some of those companies to adjust. So I wonder if Nintendo went through the similar thing where NCL had to figure out how are we going to get this to work. Even Sakurai's presentation, even he specifically alluded to, it's not. We're getting back to working at almost a normal pace, but we're still affected and stuff. Hopefully things will be better, is what he said. But they weren't at the time, and but they're. We'll have to see. So I wonder if everything just had no release date, and just internally everything got pushed back by a few months. So maybe Breath of the Wild was a sequel, was end of 2020 game, but it's getting pushed back into like spring of next year. Who knows? I think once we start seeing these other games we've been expecting, when they're coming out, I think people will start to be able to do the math and be like, oh, if you thought that should have come out here, it came out 4 months after you expected it. I mean, you'll be able to get a better gauge. But that investor meeting, whatever that happens, when there's a Q&A, someone's going to ask about that more specifically. I think that's when we'll get very specific information about what's really going on over there.
That was the beginning of Also This Week. But that segment is now officially blown up to get its own timestamp. Congratulations. I was gonna put that, give it a timestamp. I was like, we should probably wrap up that podcast. But
Nintendo.
What's
up with Nintendo?
It was a mini direct, but a very, very large segment on this week's podcast. And as long as we're talking about it, Collection of Saga, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2.
Yes.
And Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory were highlights. From
Yeah.
that.
Melody of Memory, dude. 8 players.
Yes.
Let's go.
It also has
8 players, 8 allies.
Hitting cutscene. New lore.
No.
There's new lore.
Yeah, Kyrie's is after 3, right?
Yep.
New lore.
Yep.
Get ready.
Canon.
Get hype.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Let's try this again. Also this week, ad company Ogilvy used Twitch donations to advertise Burger King. Did you hear about this?
I've got 10 minutes of stuff to say about Ogilvy, Jones.
They just showed up on streams like, hey, you want $5? Buy some Burger King. And streamers like, what the hell is this? So Ogilvy's feeling bad about that. I don't know if Burger King got the memo. People were upset we didn't talk about Black Myth Wukong, which looks amazing. Had an impressive gameplay demo.
So amazing.
Based on Journey to the West,
that.
which also inspired Enslaved, one of your faves.
And you know what else inspired? The thing you don't like us to talk about on the podcast ever. Dragon Ball.
Oh, okay. You can talk about Dragon Ball, just not for long.
I was like, what, politics?
And not right now. Yeah.
Dragon Ball politics.
We definitely squeezed some politics into this episode. I mentioned before, Fall Guys, the most downloaded PlayStation Plus game of all time. A Prince of Persia remake appeared on a retail website in Guatemala. But is probably the original game, if it's anything at all. If that was just some weird goof, but everyone's like, hey, calm down. Might not be Sands of Time. Might just be like a weird, fun new version. It's probably on mobile or something dumb. And we mentioned, but according to the Economic Daily News, we are getting a new Switch in Q1 2021. We will see what that is like. Frogwares is facing more delisting issues with the sinking city and licensee Big Ben Nakon. If you want to read up on this sucks.
I read that whole thing.
This is just a company that's like, hey, you will publish your game and then we'll give you money. And then they just didn't give them money for a long period of time. And we're just a big pain in the ass. And so...
Big Ben
started acting like they owned it, and they
And
Yeah,
these are the
Big
same
Ben
people that,
sounds
they have the
sketch.
Sherlock Holmes games. There's a lot of,
Yeah.
almost like their entire platform of games is just kind of being held hostage by this big publisher. So,
rough.
Just get a terrifying glimpse into how things can go horribly wrong. Sony is currently, as we mentioned, accepting applicants for a chance to pre-order the PS5 directly from them. We'll see how that works out. There is a Resident Evil TV series currently in development on Netflix. They got a script for episode 1, and it's based on Wesker's kids. Wesker's got
Wesker
kids.
kids. The Wesker kids.
The Wesker kids.
His children have featured in games before.
Yeah, because I don't know if
Yeah.
this is like Albert Wesker's kids or the Wesker children like Albert Wesker that are part of the experiment, like Ian's talking about.
Yeah.
So time
see.
will tell. Either way,
Yeah.
so pumped.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be great.
The Witcher Monster Slayer was announced, which is similar to Pokemon Go. It's basically the Witcher Go.
And so in.
All right.
But how do you play this if you can't go anywhere?
This
We're
is
on
true.
lockdown.
Well, you can go places. Just
You
wear
just
a mask.
walk around your apartment.
Hello Games is The Last Campfire is out. You can play it right now if you're listening to this
what?
podcast. It's out. Yep. Boom.
When did they announce that?
They announced
What
it
is
the day before it came out, and boom, there it is. Yep.
Weird.
The new game from Hello Games, The Last Campfire. Go get it. Several employees have left Lab Zero Games, the developer of Skullgirls, because of
Oh,
studio
yeah.
head Mike Z, who. The whole company left, man. I don't think there's a huge argument here.
Yeah.
For like, are their stories true? It's like when literally the entire company just walks. But apparently, it was just reported today that they're still developing Skullgirls. Like, they're still able to work on it, but they have left the company. It is kind of a strange middle road deal. Mike Z is
Yeah,
the
because
friends of mine-
100%
Okay,
shareholder.
dude.
There's nothing they can do.
I mean,
He owns
yeah,
the company.
people that have been there for like the better part of a
Yeah.
decade.
And
Yeah,
just
they're
love the company, love the stuff that they work on.
Yeah.
Also made that other game, but this name I don't remember.
Indivisible.
Indivisible. There it is.
Invisible.
Yeah, but
Some friends of mine worked with that guy. I won't really say in what capacity, but yeah, sounds like a real weird, egotistical bastard.
Not many positive stories
Yeah.
about that, Mike Z.
well, the good thing is Lab Zero doesn't own the IP,
Oh, nice.
so they can't do. They're like they cut him out. They couldn't get him to. It was going to cost too much to buy him out of his to make him take a severance. So yeah, they're going to keep work. As you said, they're going to keep working on it.
Cut him
and-
out.
Yeah.
Hopefully things
Weird.
are looking up for that
Gnarly.
team.
Business.
After all they've been through, a lot of people writing stories. They're just like, "This is one of my best friends. I've known him for a really long time, and I just can't. I can't put up with this guy anymore." Epic Games can't get Fortnite back in the Apple Store, but Apple can't block development distribution of the Unreal Engine. The plot thickens, the story continues. Not getting into details there. I'll leave that up to Hogue.
This is so over my head. Yeah.
Microsoft filed
Yeah.
a statement supporting Epic Games, so Microsoft's jumping in the swimming pool
Of
there.
course.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They've
why
been at
not?
odds with Apple forever.
Yeah.
They also had an event, the free Fortnite event in Fortnite, which wasn't creepy at all, where you could get that Apple-headed
It's
thing.
like weird 1984
Yeah.
thing. It's very weird.
It makes me root for Epic just a little bit less when they're like, "Here's an event you can do." It's like, God, you
Well,
planned
this
all
whole
of this
thing
madness.
is like a weird marketing ploy too.
Yeah,
It's
all
like
marketing. Joseph Staten, former Halo writer, was brought onto Infinite's team to help it launch, meaning Halo Infinite. Staten was very much involved in the first couple games. I recall behind the scenes of him directing all of the voice actors. I remember him talking to Cortana in the studio and seeing footage. I also remember in the brief E3 stint where I worked for IGN and reported for them on a couple of bits. The year we started Easy Allies, 2016. I went over to
What?
I went over to the Xbox booth to ask about
hell?
Recore. I was like, I'm here from IGN to interview someone for Recore,
Dude, I
and they were
think I
like,
remember that.
they were like, let me go get Joseph, and Joseph Staten comes walking up. I was like, oh, what's up, dude? I have so many questions for you that are so much more important than Recore, but I guess we'll talk about Recore. But a wild Joseph
I
Staten
want to hear
approached.
about your. I want to hear about like your little Horan phase.
I ran around with the camera, and
I
talked to
love
some
it.
people during E3. That was it. E3 2016. You can dig for some of my IGN interviews. The next gen version of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War will cost $70. You get both gen versions, but
Oh.
that's a
That's
lot
some.
I didn't hear that.
That is
That's
some
the first one.
brand manager. That is some excellent brand managing. Saying you get both versions.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, I just
Cyberpunk's
want
over
the
here
next.
like-
I just want the next gen version. I don't want. If it comes out like next gen or whatever, it's like giving you something you don't want.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get both.
Yeah.
What?
But it's just,
or yeah, free upgrade. That it's either a free upgrade that way. It should be, or if you just buy next gen, they're like forcing you to get the last gen version.
That's like how you
Slick
couldn't-
marketing.
You're like lousy with copies of BioShock 1 because like you couldn't buy like one thing of anything without getting BioShock 1
Yeah.
for free for like a couple of years.
but people are saying that could be a sign that that $70 next gen tax is potentially
It's
coming
happening.
up. Blood spoiled this, but people are using Microsoft Flight Simulator to observe Hurricane Laura, which
Tropical storm
lots
Laura
of
now?
lots of
Maybe?
love going out to people that are obviously affected by that. But it is fascinating because you can
devastating.
have live time of day and live weather in that game, and so a lot of people, even meteorologists, are like flying planes around that thing just to kind of study
Wow.
it. So it is interesting to see, all the crazy things going on with Flight Simulator since launch. And the July NPDs were released. I'm sorry, Huber. They happened last week. We could have talked about it.
Damn.
I'm not clued. I follow Piscatella. I get all his tweets. I check Twitter all the time. I'm just not in that. I think
You'll get in that zone.
I think Bossman could just smell him. He would just he'd wake up one morning and be like, "Today's the day." And,
He like wakes up in a
there's a
cold
lot.
sweat.
It's,
NPDs.
it's a lot going on in this biz, but totally missed that. Didn't want to go back. There's clearly enough to talk about because this is a long podcast episode. But one of
I
these
feel
days,
like
I will
every
get in
time I'm
sync.
on the podcast, it might be me, because every time I'm on the podcast, Jones, you say, I feel like this.
Oh, when Huber
this is
comes
a long
up.
podcast.
Oh, Huber's on the podcast.
You're like, oh, this is
Wait a
really
minute.
long. Yeah.
Those MPDs at?
No, the length of the podcast. I mean, you're always like, yeah, this is a long podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like
I hear you
talked
say
a
that
lot this
every time.
Huber.
Looking at my waveform, I think I talked more than usual.
Huber, I'm about to do Love and Respect.
Okay.
It is time for Love and Respect.
Love
and
and
respect. Quantum Error, it looks
From
so
Kjeld
spooky.
Huij Majors.
It looks so sick.
Kjeld Huij Majors. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I almost certainly am not.
I doubt
Hello,
it.
allies. Got a weird one for you. What's your opinion on damage numbers? Boom. We already talked about it in video games. The recent reveal of Gotham Knights made me think of this. Is the numbers popping up when you hit an enemy make me question how immersive the experience will be if pretending to be in the actual crime fighter in this world, especially when, for example, you compare it to the Arkham series, which did not have this and therefore arguably made it much more immersive. Then again, a turn-based game like Persona heavily relies on showing you how much damage you do to your opponent, and it doesn't take away from the experience at all. Maybe in Persona's case, it even enhances it. What's your take on this? In what instances do visible damage numbers make sense? Are there examples of recent games where you felt they were out of place? And how do you think they can be done right? Love and Respect, Kjeld from the Netherlands.
I think with Persona it works because it's such a stylized world and it's a
Yeah.
turn-based RPG. It's weird in I guess Gotham Knights though is kind of looking like a comic book, so it's not as ultra realistic as say something like Arkham Knight was. But the more realistic it is with the damage numbers, it does kind of break the immersion.
You also
for me.
it's you also got detective mode, man. It is
Yeah.
the software Batman has downloaded into the suits that allow you to
Sure.
to calculate how much health an enemy has and how effective each attack you are doing against said enemy. I would expect nothing
It's like
less
in
from the Dark Knight.
Cyberpunk.
Right.
UI elements are things that you mod into your body.
Sure.
Cool.
I think to me a lot of it comes down to real-time combat and speed. Like when you see like a chain of numbers like pop 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 right out of somebody's head, like I don't know how useful that information is anymore. It's
Totally.
like when you do a single hit in a turn-based game and you see that big number,
Good call,
okay,
Bloodworth.
got it. Whereas with this stuff, it's like, okay, well,
40,
I-
40, 40, 40, 50, 50, 40.
Yeah.
Like, how useful is that? That's such a good
Well,
point, Bloodworth.
I think it's a. You go.
I was gonna say, I think it's still useful because it shows, it gives you immediate feedback on what you're doing if it's doing more damage than something else, especially in
MMOs,
this game where-
Damiani.
Sure, sure.
MMOs.
Where you're
course,
gonna
of
be
course.
equipping any game where you're gonna be equipping gear, and you need to understand
Elementals.
and elemental stuff, and you need to know if you're doing more damage, what was working. It's either health
Damiani's
bars.
over here playing a game you can't even see through all the text. So
It's either
Harsh. Hard.
It's either-
shots.
it's either you have
Dude.
health bars above you, and you see like these attacks are doing more damage, or as the color coded stuff, like you saw, like yellow for crits, or bigger numbers for crits,
Sure.
or exclamations for crits, or red because it's like this is fire damage. I do agree it's annoying when it's like a gun, like shooting games when it does it. Like I hate that because it's too fast. That's almost too fast to process. It's almost better just put like there's a better way to represent it, I think. But in this game, you're fighting, but I don't think it's that fast where I was seeing only a handful of numbers at a time. It wasn't like on my, like for me at least. It was, I'm seeing 100, 200. That was a crit. Okay, it's useful. And some players want to know, like, what's the best build? Like, how am I? Like, what's the best way to kill this thing? And it's better than just either go for the immersive version where you have no information and you just gonna do it till they get knocked down. And as nice as I love to arc past Arkham games combats systems, there'd be times like, I'm not sure this guy's dead. I'm gonna hit the punch button. I'm gonna fly across the whole screen and hit this person. And it's like just because I wasn't sure. Yeah. Whereas when you're informed and stuff, it's like oh, their health bar's dead. They're done. You finished. You understand that it's just more to process and understand. I think.
To be fair, there is an audio cue in the old Arkham games when you knock someone out.
Yeah, that hard noise. So that was good. But sometimes that's not the. I think it'd be fine if there was an option to turn off the numbers. I think we have the best of both worlds here. So there's an option to turn off the numbers.
Options.
This is mute.
Yes.
But
I love options.
Options are good. Yes, I agree
But
with you.
I think about like Destiny 2, and it's like I don't even think about there being numbers. But last night I was playing it and I realized like, oh, if I shoot this thing here, it's a crit, and I knew that because of the numbers, and like. After a while, you just see, like, blonde, brunette, redhead. Like, you don't notice them anymore. Like, playing Diablo 3, it's just, like, I have my Paragon Wizard or whatever. Like, it's, like, 50 million, like, every 2 seconds coming off of these guys. And it's almost just, like, part of how hilarious it is to just see how, like, stupid powerful you are, So, it's a style choice. It's a thing. But in stuff like Destiny 2, where you're shooting actually matters, like, it is a strategic thing to see the
yellow weak point.
Look
number.
for that yellow, yeah.
I think I told you this, Damiani, but when I was just beginning in Final Fantasy XI, and I wanted to play Paladin, so I had to be a warrior first, and I got the ability Provoke, which is I can draw aggro, and my buddy's like, okay, use Provoke, and I hit it, and I was like, oh, wait, no, I hit the wrong button. I did some crazy spell. There was a big purple explosion in front of me, and he's like, that's Provoke. I'm like, oh. As a warrior, I didn't know I could manifest a giant purple cloud in front of me, but in the world of Final Fantasy, anything's possible.
It is definitely completely different vibes, though, when numbers are popping up. The vibes are completely different. So I get people asking about it and being worried about it. Yeah.
From Marv to Parv, a new console joins the battle. One of the wealthiest and most resourceful companies in the world, doesn't have to, can be anything, has been working on a secret project in the shadows.
Epic.
They decided to join the console wars and
Stadia?
release their own gaming system in 2021. In terms of hardware, it's on par with the PS5 and Series X. However, their virtually unlimited budget allows them to buy 3 IPs that will exclusively release on their brand new console. GTA, Metal Gear, Final Fantasy, FIFA, Call of Duty, Street Fighter. No IP is off limits. Which 3 IPs should be acquired to all but guarantee a successful launch and bring some serious competition to the 3 current console giants? Love and respect, Marv the Parv. You got more money than anything. You're buying Fortnite?
100%. You get Fortnite.
I think I think this is a losing proposition. This would piss people off more than it would be good.
Yeah, I don't see them winning.
Well, piss people off with Spider-Man on PS4.
Like, I know the point is to pick 3 games, but I'm like, this doesn't sound like it sounds like Stadia right away, like Ian said. It's like
right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you pick the biggest multiplayer game, the biggest single player franchise, and then
Pokemon.
One other one.
I mean, yeah, if you just put Pokemon on there, you're fine.
Pokemon, it's good.
I mean, Pokemon's a good call. I think you have to get stuff where the player base doesn't care what it's on, they just want that thing. Whereas, like, if you pick Last of Us or Fortnite or
God of
Metal
War.
Gear,
God of War is our showpiece.
You're just going to piss gamers off. You're going to piss people off. But if you get Pokemon, they're going to be like, oh, this is the new Pokemon
But that's the thing. But if people
Not
are
to say
pissed,
that most Pokemon people don't care, but
5,000 a day, 10,000 a day, people will pay it. They're going to pay no matter what. They're going to be pissed, but they're going to play it.
I don't know if they would, dude. I don't know if they would. If Metal Gear Solid 6 came out on Stadia only, I still don't think people would buy that piece
there's
of
a lot
crap.
more behind that, though.
All right, bad
If
example.
Kojima directed it and wrote it.
Pokemon, GTA, Call of Duty. That's what they do.
Yeah, those would
Good
be the
job.
Ones. And Madden.
That's a win, yep. Pokemon, GTA, Call of Duty.
And the next
I don't know about Madden.
Blood nailed it.
Exclusive, though.
That's a bullseye, Bloodworth.
Yeah.
That is the direct critical strike. A yellow number just popped up.
Probably be a red number, right? This is probably more for Ian and myself than anybody else, but Matt Galeza asks, hey, Elias, when I'm editing, I like to have something on the other screen to keep me company. I probably watched Scott Pilgrim 5 or 6 times this year, as I just love that movie. What's a go-to show or movie that you have on in the background several times? Love and respect, Matt. So you're doing something else. You might even be listening to this thing. Speaking of this very podcast, I pop in a lot of this stuff. The MCU is classic for me. Or just generally something like Dark Crystal, just something that's just very Fifth Element. Something that's like visually very eye-popping, but and I've already seen. That can just entertain me in the background.
I just listen to music.
Yeah.
I don't have movies.
When I'm editing things, I don't have anything going because I need all my senses. I need to taste the cuts.
Ooh.
For editing.
You guys-
but like if I'm doing
You
Photoshop
had that thing
or
set up in
something-
the old bay when we were
Well,
at the. Yeah.
That's like
That-
a group vibe, though. That's
yeah,
different.
that was Don and I both cutting
Yeah.
stuff. When you're cutting in a group, you're like chatting and stuff, and you're
Yeah.
not. But like when I'm cutting on my own, I'm trying to get it done, you know. But I have a second monitor here that always has like Slack and chats and stuff. So I've got chats going. But yeah, music if I'm doing graphics work and I don't need my ears.
Yeah, music
Otherwise,
for
the
me.
only stuff I watch on YouTube is like synth stuff, Mr. Sunday Movies, and Red Letter Media mostly. They're Bill and Ted Huber. They did Bill and Ted 1 and 2. It was awesome. Watch that.
Nice.
Red
They
Letter
did
Media
a
did?
review of it.
I know,
Red
I
Letter
gotta
Media
catch
did
up
a
for 3.
review of
Gotta rewatch.
Bill and Ted 1 and 2. And
That's
it
all
was
you had to
awesome.
say.
I watched it last night.
Oh boy, and that's like tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow, dude.
Yeah,
3 is
Bill and Ted,
tomorrow.
Face the music.
Yes.
$20, $25 bucks.
25 bucks.
I don't care. I don't care.
Yep.
So
I will
pay it.
spend
as soon as
$100
I'm
to
done
watch that
with
movie.
work,
1,000 a day, 10,000 a day.
I'm so
People will
excited.
pay it.
Tomorrow's
I'm
coupon
gonna
day
watch.
for Bill and Ted Face
I'm
the
gonna
Music.
watch I'm gonna watch Bogus Journey tomorrow with
Nice.
Sophia, and then we're gonna watch the third one.
I saw somebody
and
on
if she
Twitter
doesn't
said
like it,
they hadn't seen Bogus
I'm gonna
Journey
be
before,
like,
and they were
"Psst."
like, "What was that movie?" It's like, "Oh yeah, you think Excellent
They're
Adventure's
so good,
weird?
dude.
Sign up
Bogus
for
Journey
Bogus
scared
Journey."
me as a kid.
Bogus is my favorite.
Freaked
I
me
like Bogus
out.
more.
It is time
scary.
for bets.
Oh,
Next week's bet: Wasteland 3 launches on August 27th. By this time next week, August 27th being today, when we record this podcast, so it is out if you want to go check that out if you're listening to this. By this time next week, how many user reviews will this game have on Steam? I told the group, PGA Tour 2K21 launched last week on Steam, currently has 492 reviews after 1 week. To give people a perspective, Ian Hink, how many views there?
399. Maybe that's low. I don't know.
All right, 399. Michael Damiani.
1,500.
Ooh. Michael Huber.
Is it 211?
Okay.
I was thinking like Game Pass. Like nobody's playing this on Steam. Hopefully, is it on Game Pass? I don't even know, dude. I
Okay.
hope it is.
I think it is.
Everything's on
Steam
Game
access
Pass.
is your question.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was my logic there.
All right. What's your
Here are my
logic, Daniel
notes.
Bloodworth?
Nice, Ian. Nice.
1,300.
All right. Cool. 900 from me. So.
Oh, yeah. So we got the middle.
Yeah, so I got the low.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, folks. Here's where we're at. I haven't locked down these bets in 2 weeks.
Uh-oh.
So
Loose bets.
the bets and
Jeez.
the bets got real upset. Okay. The bets and I had a reckoning. So the bets and I are kind of have like an ethereal relationship now, you know. The bets and I are like kind of coexisting, if you will. It's tough for me to kind of harness that energy and keep it with me throughout the week, but we're gonna see. I'm gonna see if I can go by. I might have to bring the locking mechanisms back. I might have to bring the safe back.
The vehicle
to
doors.
trap those bets in.
Locking mechanisms on the vehicle door.
But for right now, again, has absolutely nothing to do with production. Has nothing to do with sound effects. You know, forgetting them, not forgetting them, moderating duties, or anything like that. Again, it's magic, bets, energy, flowing, circular. Last week's bet, Madden NFL 21, launched on August 25th. No, it didn't. It hasn't launched yet. It launches tomorrow. My bet was I was going to read the last 10 reviews on OpenCritic.com. There are no reviews on OpenCritic.com. How many times would I see the word Jackson? Everybody bet stuff. We're not talking about that until next week because those reviews aren't up. So no bet happened this week. I will hand off the end of the duties to the podcast with the other team. Sorry, Bloodworth, because it was my fault. Thanks, Games Radar. Used to be my number one resource to go for launch dates.
Sure, watch
I mean,
Huber
I had-
syndrome, man.
I had the 25th written down as well, so I don't know.
Sneaky. Gotta double check that
What
stuff.
happened
Yeah, so the scores aren't going up this week, but Jovial Penguins is still in the lead with 10.
You did it wrong.
What? What did I? What?
We didn't. We did. You said the number. Don't we usually be like jovial penguins?
I don't do the same thing every time. When I say the word jovial penguins, that doesn't like trigger something for
Yeah.
you, where you're like, oh, he's
I
about to say the
immediately-
number.
No, but
I heard
when do
jovial
we make
penguins.
the noise? Something's different. Is something different?
That brings our scores to jovial
we
penguins
go.
10.
Ah, the direct
Numbers
approach.
appear
I
in your
admire
head.
that in a man with a mask.
I can't spice it up at all. I got to do the same reads every single time.
Well, I got confused. I'm sorry.
Astonished Scorpion 7. Let me tell you about patreon.com. Stop it, Ian. Let me tell you about patreon.com slash easy
Reminds me of
allies.
knowing.
Dude, knowing.
Reminds me
I
of
had
knowing.
my button on the
Ian
play
just had
button.
beams of light
Yeah.
bursting from his
Ian
eyes.
gives me
Knowing.
Ghostbusters 2 vibes, which I appreciate, of
That's
course,
what- yeah, I
but
think
not
about
while I'm
Janish.
trying to keep this
Yeah,
podcast
what's
under
up?
2 hours.
I had my finger on the play button of knowing like 3 times over the last month. And I didn't do it because of that one shot where she looks down and there's like a weird angel in the yard and it's so scary.
Dude, some freaky shots in that movie.
Yeah.
That's a movie?
Alex Proyas?
Yeah.
Knowing?
Knowing, dude. Have
Yep.
you not seen Knowing?
Roger Ebert
Nicolas
says it is
Cage.
one of the greatest science fiction masterpieces of all time.
Really?
Yep, Roger Ebert.
actually not a
4
bad
stars.
movie.
4 stars,
Yeah,
Ebert.
it's not
I think
horrible,
Brandon's
it's
just about to end the podcast about it.
Oh,
Well, that's-
Knowing with
Knowing.
Cage. Okay.
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas
I thought that,
Cage.
wait, you say Cage? I know exactly what.
Yeah.
That's the Criterion Cage box set of random ass movies. Is what you're talking about.
Yeah. Knowing.
Yeah.
It's a movie that some people think is hot garb and then
Right.
some people think is
We got to get Nick
perfect.
Cage and Bruce Willis in the same movie because the two of them are making more movies that I know what to deal with. Making Steven Seagal jealous. Let me tell you about patreon.com/Easy Allies. It's where you want to go if you want to support the Easy Allies financially. You're giving us a tremendous amount of support if you were just listening to this podcast, if you were enduring with our silly ad reads. But we would appreciate it more if you would go to easyallies.com or patreon.com/Easy Allies to learn more about Easy Allies. If you go to patreon.com, you'll get a lot of great exclusive stuff for just $1. You get Cup of Jones, which I do every Monday morning. You get our spoiler modes, which we do, and you get a bunch of exclusive stuff. $5, you get this podcast early, and you never know, every now and then you might get a other exclusive things early a couple days. Right now, if you give $5 to patreon.com/Easy Allies, you can check out Daniel Bloodworth's recent creation where he sat down with Gareth Coker, which is the composer of Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps, for a wonderful 40-minute plus conversation where they talked about both of those games, Darksiders Genesis, Minecraft DLC, all sorts of crazy stuff that he has been involved in. Everyone else gets to check that out. Actually, if you were listening to this podcast, you can actually go get that for free because that is up on our YouTube channel. But it's a perfect example this week. You never know when you might get something early access on there. You also get some other shows early access, and you can be involved in Love and Respect, and you can suggest things for Silver Lining at the top of this podcast. If you if you give $250 to Easy Allies, you will be a part of the shout out tier. It is the end of the month. Big thanks to all of the people that are at this tier that supported us for the month of August. And I would love to shout them out. Before I do, I will let Ian know that, of course, he is first and I'm after him. Huber, you are after me. Damiani, you are after Huber. And Blood, you are last this week. Shout out to Caleb Togi Crawford, Delisi, Elphanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Jeff Zio VGM Easton, and J.L. Burton, LLC.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Nice. Absolutely
And,
no
yeah.
need to lean forward, Hubert, but I appreciate it.
I love it.
That mic is picking you up good. I gotta
But yeah, to
drop
be
the
clear,
Huber
since-
levels every week.
Gotta get the shout out. Maximum hype.
This is the last podcast of the month. If you want to be on that tier for September, you've got to get your pledge in by the last day of the month, and then basically when the clock strikes midnight, it'll charge, and then once we see that your charge went through, then you'll be on that list for September.
Very cool.
Okay, jovial penguins. Easy, Ian. I'm giving you this podcast because I goofed on the bets. We will reconcile 2 bets next week. Who wants what? Your team gets to promote any Easy Allies video you'd like to promote. You get the final word on anything you've disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped in your head, and you get to sign off with your trademark sign off.
I'll promote something.
Okay.
So,
What do you want,
Did-
Damiani?
Just
You
chomping
pick.
at the bit.
You pick.
So excited
You
to
pick.
end this podcast.
You pick.
Oh, man.
pick Eldest Souls Quests, Eldest Ring. Go.
What?
Go.
Yeah, Eldest Souls Ring.
I'll do the final word then.
All right. What's it going to be, Ian?
Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do.
Well, all
Yes.
right.
With the thing you
Wait,
told.
what about the video?
Yeah,
I gotta
you get to
promote
do the
Do the
something.
video first. Yeah.
You promote the video right now.
You were
Promote
so-
the video, Ben.
You were so-
Pens don't skip. Watch it. Destroy all humans.
There you go. Nice.
Good stuff. Good video. You worked real hard.
Take us out, Damiani.
Until next time, may the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Necromunda Underhive.
Wait, what about that horror game, dude?
The Easy Allies would like to thank our Patreon podcast producers. We apologize in advance for all the ally names we are about to misspell and mispronounce. Caleb Togi Crawford, Delisi, L. Thanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Jeff Zio VGM Easton, JL Burton LLC, Walker Hope, Nick, Mark Dalga, Will Schmuck, Sigma, Robert Stoffel, Zachary Wingate, Thomas Wigginton Jr., Dave Red, Richard G. Flowers, Paolo Costabel, Discarded Digit, Ali Cat, Damnable Nook, Jay Shee, Happy Gaming, Bradley Spees, Miguel Rivas, Valmar, Blue Water Blue Sky, Daniel Portillo, Jose Gutierrez, Alex AI, Rob Bob Will, Beaten Down Brian, Jan Tyson, Chom Nguyen, Roy Sung, Hayden Hargraves, Lakota 1010, G. Levin, David Wen, Matthew Pauling, G. Ken, Gary James, The Banana Forklift Killer, Marcel Markov, Catherine Lai, Todd Yurkovic, Stephen Last, Candy Coated Thorns, Hitman 47, Rack, DRD 7 of 14, Matthew Holcomb, Oni Blackmage, Joachim Arovuo, Niz Klojgard, Jesper Lawson, Jordan Kirk, James Vitt, Sam Handrick, Stephen Thomason, Robert Crouch, Luke Bennett, Andy Drew, John Burns, S-Snake 24, Mango, Richard Johnston, Mark J. Betters II, Adam Henry, Tim O'Keefe, Ethereal Ether, Brad Grenz, Andrew Stoke, Thor Mangus, Jake Musser, Eric Crone, Beastmaster 64, Jesse Blue, Christopher Santis, Strikeout NZ, Sandra and Richard Acero, David Boyarski, Faraz Rizvi, Pete Shoemaker, Reed Johnson, Manuel Thomas, Michelle Nubb, Mike Mizek Novak, Alex Monaco, Paul Bishop, Modren, Marco Hernandez, Daniel Wong, Zoostick, V. Kira Ray, Don Turner, Sebastian Urban, Eddie Reisner, Sebastian Trier, Adam Sharonbrock, Evan Eng, Raymond Chow, Azazel Valkyrie, Junya Motomura, Ivan Ponce, Tuttle, Bjornor Haraldsvik, Egg Stravaganza, Joshua Vanswall, Stephen Walther, Tense George, Colin Hoylman, Barry, Cyberboa, Forrest, Eric Maynard, Chase Caldwell, iSun Chor, Leon Keys, Chris the Pianist, Ian Anderson, Philip Higdon, Nycrypt, Jai Aldiar, Robert I, C.S. Lewis, Ahmed Al-Rashed, Bonnie and Jason Connor, Travis Miosi, Mike Calvi, Alex Glass, The Fatty Show, Neo Bear, DanPan 16, Wouter DeHaze, William Heaney, Not Jack, Mithers Strongbeard, Jana, Anthony Galvin, V8 Dave, Oro Gacchino, Dakota Hayes, The Classiest Hobo, Misuki 211, Matt Karwoski, Liam Ahern, Bunny Chen, David Kennedy, Materia Addict, Arthur Henrique Chinaglia, Culinary Stud, Magnus Rasmussen, Edison S. Prada Jr., Tim Mann, Sean Rao, Haley Hill, Crediar, Mauricio Fuentes, Jesse Fish, Gabriel Aberg, Zahid Hosseini Korami, Louis Ibarra, Lee Young, Alexander Zirianov, Morpheus, Christian Hundorf, Brian Foster, Sean Cornett, Linson Wu, General Piet, Matthew Migler, Retroid Vaniac, Brandon White, Christophe Fatui, Michael Clendenan, Wen Beauchamp, Hadi Ali, Aurelien Grenier, Eric Gustafson, Trevor Thomas, Wavering Radiant, Michael Kozachenko, Awesome Express, Adam Lindsay, Corey Landega, Pablo Rodriguez, Alec Church, Ibrahim Sozer, Carl Williams, Gustav Strombaum, Volker Bach, Russell Bateman, Lindsay Wells, Jason I, Rickard Enbaum, Nefertiti Jenkins, Tyler Wallace, Kyle Quintero, Jesse Vitelli, Jonathan and Amy Alconas, Quinn Riley, JC3, Paul Nolson, Isaac Swanson, Jamison Lapine, Max His Shame Turman, Jethrin, Breadroll Art, Matt Ford, Joey Din, Splontot, Jordan Phillips, Ryan Wagner, Matthias Clare, Spencer Stevens, Jeffrey Murillo, Kevin Camposano, Trizac, Matt Ferguson, Sam Sorensen, Vincent Foliat, Paul Sway, Michael Baloney, Andy Marks, Tim Strothman, XWF Outlaw, Julius Garcia, Alex Lavanier, Ritz 1906, Joel Short, Dimitri Zetas, Mazrim Tame, Helen Y, Noah Weinstein, Jameson Anderson, Daniel Fuchs, Travis Gakowski, Megadet, Sneaky Gato, Blake Bonsack, W. Crusher, Line Crown 19, Tom Masterman, Jojo Denko, ZK, Jose Carlos Madrigal, Mr. Anarchy, Thomas Blaze Fauchereau, Andreas Risberg, Anti-Ataraxia, Dreams of Caffeine, Michael Bisegli, Matthew Holmes, Alexander McEachern, Kodiak Bear 88, Lars Berger, Marcel Giru 17 Froelich, Erdney Kutenow, Megan McDonough, Rainier Dennis Bautista, Glenn Olson, Ulf himself, Corey Jackson, Natavia Ross, Allison Burt, Ryan Anderson, Jess Wilkeson, Katie Garza, Jeffrey Ruchtenwald, Dan Sebring, James Davey, Neil Bruce, Silent Consonant, Craig Happ, Travis Ing, Cody Westley, Cisco Ace Jackson Garcia, Kroldemort, Jeremy Ferris, Clay Roberts, Super 3D Cow, Ahab, Malianware, Mick Roper, Accounts Payable, Tristan Howard, John Gallagher, Dan Allen, Gray Willow, Andrew Reif, Mr. V, Mikhail Aniel, Blue, Matthew Eden, A Filthy Lot, Neuromood, John Sebastian B, Mike Hook 1, Miguel, Defeated Hero.